We'll try and reconnect. Meanwhile, this massive fracas that you can see on your screens, after which that letter has been written. Meanwhile, a quick roundup of all the other stories. Amid deepening probe in the 200 crore conman case, Delhi police will be questioning Bollywood actor Jacqueline Fernandez's stylist Nipakshi to investigate the money trail of the gifts presented to the actor. TMC MP Shogato Roy has said that the West Bengal Assembly passed a resolution on Monday that CBI ED is being misused. He added that the Chief Minister thinks that the agency's actions have been taken due to provocation by other BJP people. Bombay High Court has granted bail to actor Arman Kohli, accused in a drugs case under NDPS Act. Kohli was to be released upon paying a surety of 1 lakh rupees through a bail bond. Authorities in Lucknow brought down illegal portions of a building in Khadra locality of Old Lucknow. The building is that of a close aide of Mafia Don Atiq Ahmed. In fact, demolition was done after he built illegal portions by flouting all norms. And now time for another big exclusive on Times Now. Well, your channel gets you the first look at the charge sheet in the Enforcement Directorate case against Partha Chatterjee. The exhaustive 14,000-page documents details just how the teachers' recruitment scam was carried out, cheating deserving candidates in order to give government teachers jobs in exchange of money. In fact, the most important part is that the charge sheet also details just how Arpita Mukherjee, a close aide of the former Bengal Education Minister, has all but thrown him under the bus in relation to the scam.
Recoveries to the tune of 58 crore rupees were made from 2 properties belonging to Arpita Mukherjee. Now, the smoking gun here is, and this is something that Partha Chatterjee had been denying all along, that there were no recoveries directly made from his premises. But if you see this concerned property here, Clubtown Heights, 14 BT Road, Block 5, Flat, Kolkata. Now, this particular property is where one of the companies was floated allegedly belonging to Partha Chatterjee and members of his family, and that company was actually used, according to the Enforcement Directorate, to launder a lot of the ill-gotten wealth as proceeds from this recruitment scam. So Partha Chatterjee had denied all along that none of these properties are linked to him for where these recoveries are made. The smoking gun is that one of the shell companies was in fact registered on the premises of this very property, which is 14 BT Road, Block 5, Flat, Kolkata.
Well, that's all we could pack in for you here on News Pulse. With that, it's time for India Up Front with our editor-in-chief, Rahul Shivshankar.
Thanks indeed, Meghna. Thanks indeed. Yes, viewers, as always, the biggest story of the day at the top of India Up Front. We're leading with that. But also, viewers, today, disturbing accounts of how the anti-Hindu hate in Leicestershire is being whitewashed. I'll come to that story in just a few moments. But viewers, the big story coming out of the Supreme Court today. Viewers, the doyens of liberalism in this country have totally lost their perspective and complete balance on the question of what constitutes rights and freedoms. In their zeal to paint Muslims victims of repression in this country, they are now busy working to overturn the Karnataka High Court's very well considered judgment banning the donning of the hijab in government pre-university classrooms in Karnataka, which are essentially, viewers, secular spaces. So desperate are they to paint governments of BJP-ruled states like Karnataka, where the order first to comply with the dress code was passed in pre-university colleges, specifically in the classrooms of these pre-universities, that today an attempt is being made to willy-nilly cast them as repressors, that they have chosen now to glorify the hijab. Today, lawyer Dushyant Dave, who is a self-styled humanist, a leading light of the ecosystem, the Lutyens ecosystem, let me be very honest tonight, viewers, appearing for the appellants, asserted before the Supreme Court that, quote, the hijab is a symbol of dignity. Women who wear it looked dignified, unquote. A symbol of dignity, and the women who wear it look dignified. No problem in the first part. It's the second part that has alarmed many, in particular women's rights activists. Indeed, the remark was criticized at many levels, first by rights activists who said that Mr. Dave was glorifying the hijab as a veil of morality, and had given cause now to patriarchs and moral guardians to go after those women who didn't wear the hijab, because in their opinion, given that they weren't wearing this veil of dignity, they were essentially undignified women. In fact, if you extend the logic, Mr. Dave has armed patriarchs to shame women who don't cover their heads. In fact, viewers, he even went on to draw another analogy, saying that the hijab was a veil of dignity, much like the pallu of the sari is. So in his worldview, viewers, women who are not covering their head either with a pallu or hijab are, one supposes, not dignified. Another group of activists pointed out that Dave made the comment even as women in Iran and Islamic State had taken to the streets and social media to defy what they call was the imposition of a veil of repression, unquote, and male patriarchy. The irony of Dave's comments were not lost even on the justice of the Supreme Court, who observed that definition of dignity changes with time. But if you ask Iranian women, do they, on whom hijab is imposed, think of it as a mark of dignity? Well, 22-year-old Mahsa Amini was killed by the hijab police. Reason? There was a bit of hair showing under the hijab. Today, an elderly woman was shot in the head by the Iranian vice police. What was her fault? She dared to raise her voice in anti-hijab protests. For these women, hijab is certainly not a mark of dignity or a veil of dignity. It is now a noose of regression and repression that has in fact been the cause of their death. However, back home, the Muslim side lawyer Dushyant Dave contended that a hijab is a mark of dignity and respect. Here's how the judges and Solicitor General countered him. These are exact quotes from the arguments, viewers, in court. So Dushyant Dave says hijab is a symbol of dignity for women. The counter was provided by Justice Gupta, perhaps on the spot. Definition of dignity changes with time. How true is that, viewers? How true is that? Uniform, a great social, financial leveler, said Justice Gupta. Let's all observe the centrality of, I presume, the uniform in pre-university classrooms in Karnataka. Women rebelling against it in Islamic states, added Tushar Mehta, the Solicitor General. Non-essential practices aren't protected, Tushar Mehta, DSG, said. Now, viewers, there are those from the ecosystem who have echoed Dave. Perhaps they've been emboldened, I don't know. But listen in. Listen in to these remarks coming in from JDS leaders, from others.
इंदिरा गांधी के सर पे पल्लो है, प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया के सर पे पल्लो है, वो जो घूंघट उनके सर पे है वो भी क्या पीएफआई की साजिश है क्या? कुछ ना कुछ बोलते हैं आप. भाई भारत की संस्कृति है ये, सर पे पल्लो डालना, दुपट्टा डालना भारत की संस्कृति है, भारत का इतिहास है. कित्तूर चंद्रमा के सर पे था, उसको तुम हिजाब बोलो, पल्लो बोलो, एक ही है.
There have been several instances in the past and several people who have justified hijab with the most regressive arguments, viewers. There are many who claim that, for example, the parda or the pallu is a sign of dignity. But viewers, when this is an enforced or becomes an enforced diktat, mostly from male patriarchs, then viewers, it leaves those that do not wish to wear it in a moral dilemma. They either own up to the fact that they are immoral and undignified, or they fall in line. Viewers, this is very, very sad. But sample some of these comments that have been made. The Muslim side plea in the Karnataka High Court. Quran says lower glances guard private parts. Quran says women shouldn't display their charms. That is why these people in the Karnataka High Court went out and said that the hijab is an integral part of Islam, which was of course struck down by the High Court after some very labored discussions on this subject. Said Noori Raza Academy founder, hijab ensures safety of Muslim women. This was another reason to justify the wearing of the hijab. Zamir Ahmed of the Congress said reason for high rape rate is lack of hijab. Hijab hides beauty as girls come of age. Priyanka Gandhi, Congress said women's right to wear a bikini or a hijab. It doesn't matter. You can wear what you want. In one essence, viewers, in one essence, she's right. Of course, you can go out there and wear what you want if you want to wear a hijab, etc. But what if, as the Solicitor General says, the hijab is imposed upon you by patriarchs, by hardliners, by Islamic fundamentalists who say that at the end of the day, if you don't don the hijab, you're a blaspheme. Omar Abdullah, wearing hijab is women's right to choose. This is what Omar Abdullah said, National Conference President. There are many such comments, viewers. But let's open this up, because the moment you cast the hijab as a symbol of dignity, you render a large number of those women who don't wear the hijab as objects of derision, ridicule, and of course open them up, leaving them vulnerable to attacks upon their character. Nothing can, in my opinion, viewers, be more regressive than this. Let's talk to some of our panelists tonight. Nighat Abbas, political analyst, joins me. Nighat Abbas, what do you make of Mr. Dave's statement? He says that it's a symbol of dignity, and he goes on to also sort of compare it to the pallu, and he says that women who wear it look dignified. You're not wearing, I see, a hijab or even a pallu. How does this square with you?
Rahul, this is very sad that when I hear my co-panelists talking about that if I wear a hijab only then I'll be dignified. This is the kind of agenda these people are trying to create in the entire world. It's not only limited to India. It is, it is kind of distributed in the entire world in different parts of countries. Why? And now we see how extreme has it gone. Only a piece of cloth has made this happen, that a murder of a girl has happened. 22-year-old, a living being, has turned into a hashtag. And now what is happening right now in Iran should happen all across the world, wide. The women has to come, because if they do not come, this is going to be affected. Every one of us will be affected. And the worst part is that none of us spoke about this before this happened. Now what's happening right now is the women out there in Iran who are creating this outrage, literally disrupting the root of Islam, which is so-called hijab. Apparently it's not. When you refer to maybe Quran-e-Pak, or maybe when you refer to Hadith, it's not a part. It is not even a part. Forget about essential parts of Islam. It is not even a part of Islam. As far as hijab is concerned, it is only when you talk, you should have that poise, you should have that dignity. When I say it, it should be in your words, it should be in your eyes. Not a piece of a fabric or a cloth is going to decide what my dignity is, what my life is, and how am I going to pursue it. It is clearly the agenda of dominating the world and creating an agenda that yes, Islam is all about hijab. No, it is not. And me as a Muslim is standing with the Iranian women who are trying to disrupt this route, and it is very important, Rahul. Otherwise, the day is not far when Muslim women all across the world will no more be living beings but turning into hashtags like Mahsa has turned already.
Okay, let me bring in Mariam Nasir Alvi, a lawyer. Miss Alvi, let me just ask you, Dushyant Dave appearing on behalf of petitioners has defended hijab, contending that the hijab makes women look dignified. Do you think that his argument is valid? We are living in the 21st century. Do you think a society can dictate what makes a woman look dignified or modest? Or, let me ask you an even more basic question. Will dress define a woman's dignity in today's India?
It's a sad day today, Rahul, because men in important places continue to dictate what will ensure a woman's life and what will ensure a woman's dignity, and sort of put it into strict definitions. A 22-year-old girl was not allowed to live because a piece of cloth was too important for the Iranian government, and less girls of lesser age than that can't get an education today because the Karnataka government is too bothered by the piece of cloth on their head. So the victims are women and the oppressors are the state and men in important places.
No, so I'm asking you, Miss, one second, Miss Alavi, is Mr. Dave also one of those men in important places that is imposing a dress code that equates to bestowing dignity on women? So if women like Nikat who don't wear the hijab, well, are we supposed to think they're undignified, that they don't have an upright
asking the question that should I be asking
character?
every other man in this great nation whether I am an over dignified woman? What absurdity!
No, so I'm asking you this, madam. I'm asking you this question. Do you believe Mr. Dave is way out of line that today he has used an odious analogy in fighting to establish that Muslims are oppressed in this country? You can argue maybe using slightly more, I don't know, but progressive arguments. Do you have to rely on this idiocy? Sorry to say, Miss Alavi.
See, I mean, be it Mr. Rahul Siprangar or be it Mr. Dushyant Dave, women like Nigat and me will always be saying, "Arey nahi, hum hai dignified. Hamare kapde se thodi pata chalega hum hai kitne dignified."
Miss Alavi, I'm only asking you to take
Why do we have to keep on defending our dress choices? That Nigat must say
so
that
you believe that Mr. So you believe that tonight. You believe, as a lady who wears...
Please take me seriously even though I wear a hijab.
Okay,
What is this?
Fair enough. All I'm asking you, madam, is whether you outrightly condemn Mr. Dave. It's a very simple question. Do you think that he is way out of line, that he is today speaking the language of patriarchs? It's a very simple question.
Of course, that's what I said. Many important places continue to dictate so.
So let me then open this up further. Let me bring in Dr. Pawan Rao Ambedkar, National Spokesperson of the AIMIM. Will you also tonight, Dr. Ambedkar, drill into Mr. Dave why he is so wrong, that he is today becoming an agent of the patriarchy, that Miss Alavi and Nikat are both in their own ways, maybe from differing perspectives, objecting to? Dr. Ambedkar.
Thank you, Rahul, and thanks to all the panelists. I just want to tell you, Rahul, you have explained in a very elaborate manner, but in a negative sense. You have explained in a negative sense of the Dave's statement. Dave is telling about the dignity of the individual's dignity of the woman. He is not telling that any woman who is not using the hijab is not a dignified woman. He is not telling. But you are making this his statement in a negative sense. I just want to tell you the statement given by the Justice Gupta in a court. In oral statement, he is telling while giving the answer regarding the pagdi issue, he is telling pagdi was not equivalent to a hijab, and the two could not be compared. And he is telling that pagdi is different. It was worn in royal estates. It is not religious. My grandfather was used to wear it while practicing law. Don't equate it with religion. I just want to tell you, dignity does not mean with the change of time. Dignity means individual's choice. Where the individual's choice comes, at the same place, the individual wants to wear, wants to do dignified work. I just want to ask the question.
So 1 second, Dr. Ambedkar, no, 1 minute. Before you ask questions, 1 second. I'm not understanding. So you are supporting Mr. Dave. Now let me ask you.
No. Listen the whole statement. I just want to tell you, as the Mr. Gupta, Justice Gupta has told that wearing of pagdi by the
I don't understand the correlation here, sir. Please, yes, I might be not on the same page as you. I am very clearly sticking to an argument that was used today by Dushyant Dave, CM Ibrahim, Dushyant Dave in court, CM Dave, CM Ibrahim in the court of public opinion, where they have come out and equated hijab as a symbol of dignity. Fair enough, okay, maybe for some it is, but he goes on to say it makes a Muslim woman look dignified, just like a Hindu woman. She looks dignified when she covers her head with a sari. This is problematic, yes, sir, because now we are, 1 second, we are at some level or the other imputing a kind of virtuosity to a choice of dress. So if a lady doesn't wear a hijab, she is not virtuous, she is not dignified.
Mr. Rahul, why are you derailing his
I am not derailing anything, I am asking you.
You are derailing
I am not. Nigat Abbas has said that she finds it very objectionable. Maryam, no, 1 second, Maryam Nasir Alawi finds it objectionable on one count, saying that look, how can you dictate? These are men who dictate what constitutes what dress imputes
I just want to
dignity.
I just want to ask a question to the Nigat ma'am, whether anybody is forcing you to wear the hijab. Hijab is an individual's choice. Nobody is forcing that you want to wear a hijab. If any lady or a woman or a girl want to wear a hijab as a dress, as a uniform to maintain her dignity, then according to the constitutional laws, she must be allowed. This is the simple and clear question, as the
Nigat Abbas will respond to you, sir.
Pagdi was weird by the
Nigat Abbas responding to you, Doctor. Dr. Ambedkar.
It suits my ears to listen that yes, it is an individual's choice and nobody is forcing it. Obviously, clearly, nobody can force it on me or anybody else. It is a democratic nation. It is a secular nation. You can't force me. The constitution doesn't force me. But it is the kind of knowledge and the education we are giving to the younger girls at home who wants to pursue the education. But Rahul, right now what they are being taught is that you have to wear a hijab and only then you can go to the school. Because later on, if you do not wear a hijab, as Mr. Dave has said that you won't be dignified and you won't be able to get a good husband.
Let me also bring in Ishkaran Bhandari. Let me bring in Ratan Sharda. Let me bring in Advocate Hashmi. Let's open this up further. Now, Ishkaran Bhandari, it's all very well to say that India is a secular nation, etc., etc. Of course, it is a secular nation. Of course, people here, at least for now, are not, at least publicly going out, except in some parts of the country, viewers, intimidating women on a large scale, i.e. the state. The state has no agents, no vice police appointed to beat you into submission if you don't wear a hijab. Thank goodness for that. But if you start suggesting, like the Daves of the world are, that the hijab is an integral part of the practice of Islam, as they have been saying in court. Also telling the Supreme Court that you have no right to interpret our Quran or our holy pronouncements. Then Ishkaran Bhandari, can the state go into someone's home and prevent the patriarchs or others from imposing the hijab on young women? For example, like Nikat Abbas. It's a simple question. What we will have is what is happening in Iran.
Yes. Rahul, it feels like we are in the debate of 1950s on women empowerment. Because leave dignity. I have been on Hindi debates where on my face it has been said, जो hijab नहीं पहन रही बेहुदा है या ईमान नहीं है. That is on national television. Imagine what happens in the house where a girl is leaving the house and you link it to her dignity or behudgi or iman, etc., etc. That is the exact societal pressure debate, and it's not new. Please understand, 1950s we had Hindu Code Bill which was reforming laws and giving women more and more rights. And the time Nehru government did not bring a similar code. Why? Because said the community is not ready. Then you come to 1980s. What was at stake? Basic maintenance for a Muslim lady. That was taken away by the same patriarchy by pressurizing the government to amend and bring a new law in place of it. Why? How does a woman getting maintenance affect them when the Supreme Court has held it? Now you come to this debate. The entire purpose of school is to teach discipline, to teach laws. You say it's a secular country, school is a secular place, it has its own rules in place, but what you want to do is, you want to hijack the education of girl children by making hijab. And tomorrow, if today it's hijab, tomorrow you could equally say it's a burqa as a condition precedent before they will go to school. And then when a young child leaves the house, who will check what is the societal pressure? That is why I said societal pressure has been well recognized by all psychologists, and this is 1950s debates of women empowerment. It is unfortunate that today a patriarchy wants to again have the debate. And let's talk about Iran. We have all seen photos of Iran in 1970s. How women are wearing any dress they want to, how they are going out with men, how they are having picnics, how they are dancing, how they are going to hairdressing salons, mixed gender spaces. And what has happened? This is the back door by which they want an entry. You create a law or you create violent agitation on the street and then you force all women to obey it. Otherwise you are not dignified. Ya behuda ho.
Well,
we can't have that in India.
Let me bring in Advocate Ehtisam Hashmi. Hashmi Saab, can there be choice? If you say that hijab is a tenet of Islam, that wearing a hijab is your bounden duty to your faith, can there be choice? Simple question.
Listen, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to express my views, Rahul. And with utmost respect and sincerity to all my brothers and sisters who are expressing their views on this national channel. According to me, actually it's a personal choice as enshrined in Article 21 and Article 19 of Constitution of India, that whatever dignified or whatever uniform they want to wear is personally their choice. If someone wants to wear a headscarf, then state should have no interference in it. I went to primary school, I went to central school. I have seen that my classmates, my juniors and my seniors in the month of winters, they used to wear headscarves to protect them from cold. So what is wrong in it? If someone wants to wear a headscarf, I think there is no violation of any law. And have you seen that Pragya Thakur is wearing religious dress in parliament? Don't you feel she is violating the law or any religion? And you are talking about religion, Rahul. May I pose a simple question to my learned colleague, advocate, what's his name? Ishikaran Bhandari ji. With utmost respect, may I just pose one simple question to my learned friend Ishikaran Bhandari ji. We are very close friends since long. Ishikaran Bhandari ji belongs to a Hindu religion. and there is a no concept of wearing pant and shirt in Hindu religion. So in that condition, can I ask my learned friend to remove his pant and shirt, because pant and shirt is not prescribed under the Hindu religion and Ramayana and Gita. We are and same question.
Sir, are you trivializing now? One second, Hashmi Saab.
To all the BJP leaders, all the RSS leaders.
Okay. 1 second, Hashmi Saab. I asked you a basic question.
It might come very late.
Rahul, I want to answer that.
It's my request. Just give me one more second. Rahul ji, you belong to Hindu religion. Ishikaran Bhandari ji belong to Hindu religion.
Rahul,
and for my sisters, I am not trying to comment on it. They can wear whatever they want. Suit, tie are not prescribed under Hindu religion. So can you remove tie and coat and shirt in front of all the viewers, because
सर आप मुझे कोई किताब दिखा देंगे जहाँ पर ये लिखा हुआ है?
Discuss about constitution.
नहीं तो हमारे में तो कोई किताब नहीं है जहाँ पर कुछ भी लिखा हुआ आप क्या पहने क्या नहीं पहने.
किताब दिखाइए.
मैं आपको आप एक मिनट
नहीं
एडवोकेट
तो रिलीजन की सर बात
एडवोकेट हाशमी साहब
सिक्योरिटी की बात कर रहा हूँ.
एडवोकेट हाशमी साहब
की बात कर रहा हूँ.
1 second, you are confusing two issues.
कर रहा हूँ राहुल जी.
Advocate साहब 1 minute please. You know you're a learned man. I am not as learned as you. I am not as learned as you, sir, and I only want to ask you a simple question.
Rahul, just give me 1 second. Please don't try to digress the issue. Rahul, just one question. 1 second, please, with utmost respect. I am just requesting 1 second. Do you have any faith on Hindu religion? Please tell me. Do you have any faith
first
on
of all,
Hindu religion?
Advocate
And
Hashmi,
same question I am posing to my
can you just 1 second?
Ishikaran Bhandari ji, do you have any faith on Hindu religion? Please tell me.
Hang on, just a minute.
Do
First
you
of
have
all,
any
viewers.
faith on Hindu religion?
Okay,
Not
Hashmi Saab. Okay. Now 1 minute, please. 1 minute.
Please tell me.
1 minute. 1 second. Ishkaran, 1 second. Let me just step in.
have any faith
Remember,
on
viewers, the
Hindu
question I asked him. I asked him a simple question. Can there be choice?
Wearing coat and
Okay, Advocate Hashmi. Now, please, sir, I'll have to lower your fader. It's not right, sir. Please, don't force me into being class monitor. Please don't do that. We are all adults here. Now, you made your point. We've understood what you're trying to say, though some of us haven't understood, and I am completely spun around. Hopefully, 1 or 2 people might have understood. Everyone is having a good laugh at your expense, but okay. Now, advocates are please 1 minute. Viewers, I asked him a very simple question. Can there be choice if you say that wearing a hijab is a matter of faith? Because viewers, if it is prescribed in the holy book and you choose not to, then viewers, either you stop being a faithful, you become an apostate, or you end up on the streets in the manner that some of these Iranian women have. And in an Islamic country, they themselves are saying it's not an article of faith. So please, it is an article of repression, male repression, patriarchy. But Advocate Hashmi will not answer this question, because the moment he agrees with Mr. Dave, and the moment the court agrees with Mr. Dave to say that this is an article of faith, 1 second Hashmi Saab, that this is an article of faith, choice goes out of the window. Either you choose to be a practicing Muslim, a believer, or you don't. And if you don't, you might be ostracized. And that is the reason why Mr. Pasha showed up and dragged his daughter in front of the full glare of the TV, viewers, a minor out of school, saying that because for me this is an article of faith, you cannot go to this school, which tells you that we are a secular space in our classroom and you cannot wear something that is in their view, the school's view. Now, the law's view, just a cultural construct. And that's a problem. Yes, 1 second. Let me first, before I come out to Ishkaran Bhandari, very quickly please respond to Mr. Advocate Hashmi, since he raised your name, and I want to bring in Ratan Shahda right after that. Yes, Mr. Hashmi. Yes, Mr. Bhandari. Yes.
Rahul, I was too busy laughing, so I did not entirely hear the sense of the argument. But if the argument was that Hinduism does not say you have to wear a pant or a shirt or a tie, so we should all remove that, that in fact will go as an argument against hijab, because no religion can prescribe what you have to wear in a schoolroom because it's a secular space. So he was arguing against himself, but it's difficult to crack a joke on a joke. Otherwise, the reality is this. Let me just finish. The reality is, under any guise, Rahul, I didn't interrupt. Rahul, I didn't interrupt.
So no one interrupted you. Let him finish. You asked him a question. He is responding to you. Okay, lower his fader. 1, 2, 3. Silent. He is not sleeping.
Rahul, just the last line.
Please, not fair.
The school, let us keep it legal, not going to pant, shirt and innerwear. Just like the school will not allow you to wear a bikini or anything which is not a part of the uniform. Similarly, any deviation from uniform, they will not allow. That is simpliciter the debate.
Okay, Ratan Sharda, very quickly. Today we are at a point where those who call themselves the doyens of liberalism, secularism in this country, want to argue against the logic of the court that arrived at the fact, at the conclusion that the hijab is actually not part of the basic features of Islam and therefore cannot be imposed at the end of a fatwa on anybody. But to prove their point, they want to put Muslim women in the same shoes of Iranian women. Do you find this odd, or am I the intolerant one?
Rahul, I am so amused today that the arguments put in by the so-called secular class is so it is like, being more Sanghi than the Sanghi. Of course, alleged Sanghis have never made such statements about compulsion of dress, etc. But when they talk of parampara, tradition, sir pe pallu, sir pe hijab, ye Indian tradition hai, I cannot not help but laugh. Now, I have also made a joke about Sadhi wearing a saffron in a parliament. Obviously, Sahab also wears a sherwani and the topi on his head, and he also beard, which is not, there is no uniform in the parliament. Let us understand the very tricky idea that in case of a uniform in institution has been blown into civilizational war. That is the game these Islamists are playing, and see the situation. Mr. Dave, the entire hijab side starts by saying it's a religious issue, it's compulsion in the religion, Quran says so. They lose the argument. Next day they say that no, you have no right to disseminate this particular issue because you don't understand Arabic. You are not fit to argue on the basis of the book. Then they again change. They say it's a traditional issue. Now today there is an issue of dignity. So what is the basic premise? Are they trying to enforce that discipline on the women? We understand today is not compulsion, but when some Maulana comes on TV and starts shouting at women and nobody speaks, in Saudi there was a case that you couldn't go to play football, to watch football because men were wearing shorts. Are you going to accept that? And if you once accept that this is part of the tradition or burqa or religion, whatever, you are going to force it the way Iran was forced. Within 50 years, the women have risen in rebellion. So it is clearly a case of worst kind of patriarchy, worst case scenario. Since you talk of pallu and hijab, let me tell people, if you go to any temple, any architecture, Indian women did not dress, did not put pallu on their head. It was enforced by the invaders, Islamic invaders, to save the stairs. Women starting having gungan and pallu. They are giving up. They are not being forced by the religion. While in case of Muslims, it is rising. Also understand, 30 years back, number of women wearing burqas, men wearing topis and half pajamas was much lower than today. Were there less Muslims? Because of the peer pressure of the Maulanas, this is increasing, and you are trying to say it is your right. If you have a right, then what are Iranian women fighting for? It is not their right. So
that is a very important question.
It is a very difficult question.
That's a very important question. Now, two arguments are being used, viewers, in defense of the hijab. Number one, it is being linked up with morality, dignity, one, especially of those who wear it. Number one. Number two, of faith. Now, viewers, as I told you, and Nigat Abbas explained to the viewer, if it becomes an article of faith for you, what choice do you have?
Absolutely, Rahul, and I am ready to oppose such things right now, because this cannot tell me that if I am practicing Islam or not. Me, as quoted Nighat Abbas, cannot be dignified if I am wearing a hijab. My friend Advocate Hashmi right now has been talking about the choices, has been talking about that Hindus agar ye pehnenge, Muslims agar ye pehnenge. I want to know, because he is an advocate, since it's written Advocate Hashmi. If today I am an advocate, if I have to go to the court and appear in a red coat and a yellow pant, would that be allowed? No, that won't be. Why? Because that is not the dress code of a lawyer. I cannot appear with such things. And clearly something, when a piece of cloth is leading to murders, Iranian people, the moral police, the police has not murdered a girl. They have literally murdered the entire Islamic Republic, telling that it is the root pillar of Islam, when it's not. This is an open threat to all of us, Rahul. It is not limited to just Iran. It is an open threat to all of us, telling that in case if you do not bow down to what we are calling Islam, trust me, you are going to be murdered. This is going to be the case what has happened with Mahsa Amini. Yes, that is the kind of message they are giving on an international level, and which is why they had the guts, they had the audacity to drag a woman because only one strand of hair was visible out of her hijab, and let her be ashamed when her back was seen naked, when the police, so-called moral police, were dragging her. Her bare back was seen. At that point in time, Islam was not disrupted. At that point in time, there was nothing happening against Islam. But yes, when only one hair strand, this much, Rahul, this much I should tell the viewers, that when this much strand was visible out of the hijab, she was murdered. It is not something to laugh on, Advocate Hashmi. You have to come up with facts and logics, because this is about my life. I do not want to be turned into a hashtag. I want to be a living human being with my right to choice and right to freedom.
Yes, sir, you can. Please. Please.
Let me respond to her.
Respond.
I'm all ears.
Respond, please. She's all ears. She says, go on. Make your point.
Listen, my dear sister Nikhat Abbas, may I pose one single query to you? What Bilkis Banu was wearing when she was raped? What Bilkis Banu, 3 years old daughter, was wearing when she was brutally raped? What Asifa was wearing when she was brutally raped? On day-to-day basis, 86 women were raped in India. What they used to wear, because of their dressing sense, they are getting raped by BJP leaders.
Okay, now hang on. I'm just ending this here. Lower this gentleman's just lower this gentleman's fader. He's completely out of it. I don't know, sir. Who are you to prescribe a dress code in this country? Who are you? Who is Dave? Who is? No, let's hang on. If this gentleman is being empowered today by the likes of Dushyant Dave, I'm sorry. Mr. Dave, please watch what you are unleashing. Here we have a person who calls himself a lawyer ridiculing Nighat Abbas because he doesn't agree with the way she dresses. And they talk about choice. They talk about choice. Hashmi, I'm lowering your fader. I am not having people here using this platform to spread a medieval patriarchy and impose a completely out of place morality. I'm sorry. And this goes for Advocate Dushyant Dave. Firstly, who is Mr. Dave to decide what makes Muslim women look dignified or Hindu women look dignified? What exact message does Mr. Dave intend to convey here? Are women who do not cover their heads undignified, Mr. Dave? You need to come out and explain. Are our women parliamentarians not dignified given the fact that they are not seen covering their heads in public? What about female actors in Indian cinema? Would you say the same for them? Shouldn't Dave's arguments be then dismissed outrightly as being absolutely moralizing? These are questions. And these are questions that I'm asking of those individuals who call themselves the doyens of liberalism in this country. Just for your politics, you are imposing now a dress code. Look at yourself in the mirror. I need to move on, viewers, because the mirror needs to be held up to others tonight. Others who have decided to whitewash the hate crimes against Hindus in Leicester. Unfortunately, viewers, the people who are doing so are Indians themselves. They are politicians, they are spokespeople of political parties. Islamists are terrorizing Hindus abroad. Their temples are being defiled. The saffron flag is being uprooted from the top of a temple and it's being burnt. But viewers, leaders in our country are blaming Hindutva extremism. And they know that they are painting a community in a very poor light. Viewers, the victims are being turned into villains tonight by these politicians. Remember, the court, the Supreme Court itself draws no distinction between Hinduism, Hindus and Hindutva. There is no special category. Hindutva is not in any way analogous for fundamentalists. Read your law, leaders of the ecosystem. Understand what you say. Measure the import of your words. Viewers, let me tell you, a TMC leader has come out and said, and let me quote him, "Time to flag Hindutva extremism after what happened in Leicester." He is not calling out Islamist extremism here. He is drawing a false equivalence. He is targeting his ire at Hindutva extremism here in India. UK and other countries, he says, must flag the threat of Hindutva extremism. So he is today, much like Pakistan does in the United Nations, blame India, blame Hindutva extremism as a reason for these attacks. In a sense, he's justifying it. This is vendetta, they say. Hindu extremists, Hindutva extremists do this here to Indian Muslims, so Muslims abroad, when they get the opportunity, will do this to Hindus. That's what he's trying to say, viewers. So a false narrative of Hindutva extremism is being built up to justify Islamist radicalism. Now, viewers, we all know that these tensions exploded. Why? Because of a match, a T20 encounter in the Asia Cup, Pakistan versus India. Yet, viewers, outsiders from the city of Leicester, I'm not saying this, it is the police of Leicester who has made arrests, were saying that there were a whole group of people who showed up from outside, from Luton, from different parts of the United Kingdom, to basically attack the residents, the Hindu residents of Leicester. Viewers, when we did our job by highlighting this, Saket Gokhale came out again and he compounded his errors, his clean chit by attacking Times Now and saying the focus, of course, is Gujarat elections. The largest Indian community in Leicester are Gujaratis. These sudden riots are no coincidence. They are part of BJP's Gujarat election toolkit. Viewers, we may as well say the riots never happened. That the Hindus beat themselves up. They jumped up top the temple and uprooted the saffron flag. They kicked themselves out of their homes. Why? Because they want the BJP to win the Gujarat elections. How low are we going to stoop on the appeasement ladder to deny Hindu phobia staring at us in our face. Even a journal that I am no fan of, an American journal, has come out and commented on the increasing worrying attacks on Hindus abroad. Viewers, why? Because there is an ecosystem here that demonizes Hindus, paints them as chotiwala rakshasas, who go out there and brutalize, who go out there and other, who go out there and consider themselves as supreme, who go out there and behave like fascist brown shirts. So viewers, this propaganda is beginning to breed resentment, and this is a backlash, and we have politicians here who are going out there and giving this Islamists hate a free run. It's shocking. Let's open this up. Let's ask some very basic questions tonight. Let me begin by asking Tausif Ahmed Khan, lawyer and TMC sympathizer. Let's also go across to Ishkan Bhandari and Ratan Sharda. I want to first start with Tausif Ahmed Khan. Do you think the vandalism of the temple in East Leicester, Mr. Khan, is vendetta for Hindutva extremism? Simple question.
Now your question, which is more like playing victim, is more aligned to favor BJP's electoral propaganda with the elections due in Gujarat. Now the entire world media and especially the England media is talking about Leicester's incident, and there are dozens of articles which say that Hindu nationalism is no longer confined to India. This is another example of how rising Hindu nationalism in India, which has frequently been directed against religious minorities, is exporting tensions abroad. In 2021, United Kingdom's Labour Party's Member of Parliament, they wrote to Home Secretary about the religious tension in India spreading to UK. What is this whole tension of Leicester and why it happened? Because India won the match which was being played in Dubai, and people took out procession in UK saying Pakistan Murdabad and saying Jai Shri Ram. Why this madness?
Have you
cricket match?
Have you, sir?
India
have you answered my question? Have you answered my question? Yes, you have in the affirmative. Okay, 1 minute.
Neither India won.
1 minute.
Neither India won the tournament. Neither Pakistan won the tournament.
Mr. Khan.
This is what happens.
Okay,
when India
Mr. Khan.
and Pakistan fights.
Yes.
Third party benefits.
Yes,
and
I don't think you even understand what has happened. I will play out a ground report from an eyewitness.
Biased.
One second. I will play out a ground report.
You have been called out.
1 second.
Indian medias have been called out. I am giving you the name.
1 second.
Sunny Handal, independent journalist. He has tweeted it. Please go and see. These kind of tweets, these kind of articles are full in international media.
Okay, so Mr. Khan, okay, so Mr. Khan, Hindus deserve it. According to Mr. Khan, Hindus deserve being kicked around in Leicester. This is what Mr. Khan is saying.
Please stop playing victim.
Okay, let's stop playing victim, he says. Okay, now viewers, let me tell you. Okay.
To build a non-violent picture of India.
Okay, let me bring in Ishkaran Bhandari to respond to you. I will also play out a ground report, viewers.
They have ruined all this picture that Mahatma Gandhi worked for his entire life.
Okay.
Everything is being ruined.
Are you done, Mr. Khan? Are you done? Or have you found your soapbox tonight? Are you done? Have you finished? Okay. Now viewers, let me just point out certain facts.
I know you will
1 second. I am pointing out certain facts. I am going to be.
I know.
Mr. Khan, can you please keep quiet for 30 seconds, please? I have not spoken over you.
What justifies Jai Shri Ram procession for a cricket match?
Can I remind you, sir, that there was. Let me finish. Will you let me finish? Please. I beg you, sir. I beg you, let me finish and place the facts. Let me finish.
What is this nonsense?
Mr.
India,
Khan,
Pakistan played
Mr. Khan, please.
In Dubai. And
Mr. Khan,
it's a monologue.
In United Kingdom.
Mr. Khan, can I?
Pakistan Murshidabad.
Because
India won the match.
Mr. Khan, can I? Mr. Khan,
and you as an Indian media must stop promoting this. It is time that we must stop promoting this.
Are you so cut up that Pakistani fans have attacked Indians? Are your loyalties with Pakistani fans, sir? What are you talking tonight? Just 1 second. Let me play out this ground report. Let me now play out a ground report, viewers. I think you need to know what the truth is. Let me give you the sequence of events. There was a match. After the match, just like the Pakistanis attacked Afghanistanis in the stadiums, in the UAE, you have all seen those visuals. They attacked Indian fans. The Indian fans were celebrating. They were not chanting Jai Shri Ram. Show me one clip where that is happening. They have no proof, viewers. They are using this as a fig leaf to cover up their hate. Now, even if, for a moment, let's concede that the Indians were triumphant, that they egged on the Pakistanis. Viewers, that's a clash between two sets of fans. Is there any justification 5 days later, 6 days later, a whole week later, for people from Birmingham, 5 of them came from Birmingham, not even Leicester, 1 came from Solihull, 1 from Luton, and 1 gave an address in Hounslow. They show up in Leicester, and what do? They go straight to a temple. And when does this happen? Viewers, days after the initial fracas over the match. Almost half, and I'm not saying this, it's the Guardian, the foreign press, mainstream, not some half-wit, peripheral, sold out journalist. I'm quoting the Guardian. Almost half of the 18 people arrested after violence between Hindu and Muslim communities in Leicester over the weekend came from outside the county, the Guardian has learnt. Concerns that outsiders have stirred up trouble in the city have heightened as it was discovered those arrests were not from Leicestershire. Of these, 5 came from Birmingham, while 1 came from Solihull, 1 from Luton, and 1 gave an address in Hounslow. Reacting to the news, Sir Peter Soulsby, the city's mayor, said it appeared to be the first evidence that people were travelling into Leicester to take part in the clashes. It does suggest there are people with other battles to fight, who are coming to Leicester to fight them. It's distressing that they choose to do it in our city. We pride ourselves on good relations between communities. And viewers, if you follow the entire chronology, there was a fracas. Some days later, a bunch of Pakistanis decided that they would terrorize in their little street of Leicester the Hindus. So they started throwing stones and throwing bottles at the homes. The Hindus leave their homes. They escape their homes, viewers. And then the Hindus decide to come back to their homes. And they do this on the day of Ganesh Chaturthi or Visarjan. And they come back chanting, viewers, the national anthem and other holy songs. No one said Jai Shri Ram. And then they were attacked by these mobs who were lying in wait. And viewers, who are these people who came to fight other battles? They came from different parts. It was a well-laid conspiracy, and they decided to target a religious place. Why would you target a religious place over a cricket match? Mr. Khan is an apologist for the Pakistani line on this, viewers. I want to bring in Ishkaran Bhandari. Mr. Bhandari, how do you respond to Mr. Khan? Now I've set out the context and I will play the report right after. Yes, go ahead.
Rahul, I just want to put out 4 facts. There is not one Hindu country in the world. Second, Hindus are a global minority. Third, there has not been a terror attack anywhere in the world by chanting Jai Shri Ram. Fourth, this agenda has started in India of trying to defame Jai Shri Ram. What if Jai Shri Ram was being spoken? There has been no terror attack. I again repeat saying Jai Shri Ram. Fifth point which we have to remember herein is there are people who have wiped out Sanatan Dharma in Afghanistan. It's on the verge of extinction in Pakistan or Bangladesh, and the numbers are plummeted in lakhs and lakhs, each a tragic story in itself. And then there were those people who tried this Saffron terror, Hindutva terror in India, had a full conspiracy where they said 26/11 is a RRS ki sajish. Thank God that Molly wearing Ajmal Kasab was caught live. by Tukaram Omleji. Otherwise, that would have been called a Hindutva terror also. So the entire global narrative is to defame Hindus, make them a target of attack, to defame Jai Shri Ram, and to lead to their being in difficulty all over the world. India should recognize that there is not one Hindu country, and globally the project has started so that lives become difficult for Hindus and their religious symbols. We should be very careful is all I want to say.
Shocking. Here is an excerpt of a report, viewers. Let's play it out. I'll leave you with that.
तो जैसे कि आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे हम आदि शंकराचार्य द्वार के सामने खड़े हैं। ये शिवालय टेम्पल है, वेरी फेमस टेम्पल इन लेस्टर। यहाँ पे ही कल शाम को अटैक हुआ था, रायट्स हुए थे इस रोड पे। इस तरह से यहाँ पे झंडे लगाए हुए हैं, हमारा जो भगवा झंडा है वहाँ पे लगाया हुआ है, और ये इस दीवार पे आप देख सकते हैं कि यहाँ के झंडे उतरे हुए हैं। तो यही दो झंडे कल उन लोगों ने उतारने की कोशिश की थी। यहाँ पे ये रोड पूरा मॉब से भरा हुआ था। यहाँ पे दोनों कम्युनिटी के लोग प्रेजेंट थे। यहाँ जो ये कार वॉश जो आप देख रहे हैं, यहाँ पे हिंदुओं को रखा गया था। दोनों तीनों साइड से सिर्फ अदर कम्युनिटीज़ के लोग यहाँ पे थे। पुलिस उनको कह रही थी कि आप एक साइड से जाओ, और दूसरे साइड से दूसरे कम्युनिटी के लोगों को यहाँ से रवाना किया गया। इस तरह से यहाँ पे शांति बनाई रखी उन्होंने। और बाकी यहाँ पे बिजनेसेस जो हैं, छोटे बिजनेसेस, वहाँ पे काफ़ी इम्पैक्ट हुआ है। लेकिन यही वो जगह है कल शाम को जहाँ पे अटैक हुआ था। This is Shraddha Chauhan reporting for Times Now, Leicester.
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shiv Shankar.
Tonight, viewers.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the Council of Mayors of BJP in Gujarat's Gandhinagar via video conferencing. He stressed on following construction rules to avoid building collapses and fires. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who is on a one-day visit to Gujarat, was greeted with Modi Modi chants outside Vadodara Airport. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said digitized financial services in India have generated global interest, added that unbanked Indian citizens can also access formal financial channels now.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The Islamic State of Iran is today witnessing scores of protests by Muslim women in the country against the decades-old regressive practice of covering their heads with hijab. But in India, it's a shame that the hijab is today being glorified by a few. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, there are those who see this regressive practice as a symbol of a woman's dignity and are today preaching that when a former prime minister or a president can cover their heads with the pallu, then there should be no shame in seeing hijab as a symbol of a woman's dignity. The Muslim side lawyer Dushyant Dave in Supreme Court today challenged the hijab ban. He contended that hijab is a symbol of dignity and women who wear it look very dignified. His argument was countered by judges and the Solicitor General, who tried to instill some sense in the Muslim advocate and said that the definition of dignity had changed with time. Perhaps Mr. Dave must heed to that suggestion today. And ladies and gentlemen, Dushyant Dave is not alone. There are others who are still slaves of the age-old regressive practices. Listen in.
इंदिरा गांधी के सर पे पल्लो है, प्रेसिडेंट ऑफ इंडिया के सर पे पल्लो है, वो जो घूंघट उनके सर पे है वो भी क्या पीएफआई की साजिश है क्या? कुछ ना कुछ बोलते हैं आप। भाई भारत की संस्कृति है ये, सर पे पल्लो डालना, दुपट्टा डालना भारत की संस्कृति है, भारत का इतिहास है। कित्तूर चन्नम्मा के सर पे था, उसको तुम हिजाब बोलो, पल्लो बोलो, एक ही है।
Viewers, the likes of Dave and Ibrahim are clearly oblivious to the fact that Muslim women themselves are today raising their voice against the age-old diktat. They don't want to be coerced into wearing the hijab. A revolution has started in an Islamic nation such as Iran against forced hijab. A 22-year-old girl, Mahsa Amini, was killed by the hijab police. Another elderly woman was shot in the head for daring to protest against the hijab. For them, hijab is not a choice, nor is it a symbol of dignity. For them, it's a noose of regression that killed them. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is really the voices of Muslim women who have exercised their right to choose. They ask, why is their dress directly linked to a morality? Without a hijab or without a pallu, is a woman not dignified?
ये मेरा कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल राइट है और एजुकेशनल राइट भी है और ये मेरा रिलीजियस राइट भी है कि मैं जो पहनना चाहूँ मैं पहन सकूँ।
जो ईरान में हो रहा है वो उनका पॉलिटिकल व्यू है, अभी वही चीज़ हम इंडिया में ऐसे लिए जाए तो वो मुझे ठीक नहीं लगता है।
उनका एक अलग लॉ है, दे आर अ मुस्लिम कंट्री, वो लोग अपना लॉ फॉलो करें, लेकिन एज वी आर इन इंडिया हमें ये देखना है कि हमारा लॉ क्या है। जहाँ पे हमें हमारा हक नहीं मिल रहा है वहाँ हम हमारे हक के लिए आवाज़ उठाएंगे और जहाँ पे हमें हमारा हक मिल रहा है तो हम हमारा हक और हमारी चीज़ें, हमारी थॉट्स दूसरों पर लागू नहीं करेंगे।
So the legitimate question we are asking on the Newshour tonight, can a whale define a woman's dignity? That's the question and that's the debate. Hijab dignity analogy, that's the debate and the hashtag on the other side.
You're watching the News Hour at 9. Debate number 1 on Times Now. Super Prime Time.
Joining me tonight on the debate, Dr. Anand Ranganathan, author, Rahul Ishwar, activist, Shoaib Jamai, president of the India Muslim Foundation, Abdul Razak Khan, political analyst, Dr. Lubna Kamal, assistant professor at the Jawaharlal Nehru of Homeopathy College in Lucknow. But my first question goes to Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, Islamic scholar. Dr. Zeenat Shaukat Ali, I don't know if I were to look at you through the lens of Mr. Dushyant Dave, the lawyer for the Muslim side, I would probably think that you're not a dignified woman because you don't have a hijab on your head. And Lubna ji is a dignified woman because उन्होंने तो हिजाब पहना हुआ है, मैंने साड़ी पहना है, पल्लू नहीं डाला सर पे, मैं भी dignified नहीं हूँ. Now is this something that you and I can accept? Are they going to decide how dignity has to be defined? Anybody in a shirt, a jacket is not dignified, but somebody in a hijab is. Is this totally unacceptable?
I agree with you. It is an absurd argument. It sounds like, when somebody is in a battle that is really being lost, this is the last kind of, recourse. This kind of language is the last kind of recourse that one takes. There are different forms of dignity, there are different kinds of dignity, and all of us are dignified. In the first instance, what is dignity? It is a personal quality of being worthy of honor. And how does, a dress define that? It is a stateliness that you carry with yourself. It is a respect. It is a quality that makes you poised and full of decorum. And it is something that gives you merit, it gives you grandeur, it gives you authority, it gives you rank, it gives you office, it gives you self-respect, and it gives you a high repartee. Now, all this is something that one defines as, a dictionary meaning, and a meaning, a very soulful meaning of dignity as it is carried for women. Now, whether you wear a sari, or whether you wear a hijab, or whether you wear a Christian dress, or whatever may be the manner in which it is the manner in which you conduct yourself, in which the way your manners are, in which the way you address others. It is the way of your breeding, how you
absolutely. Dignity can be expressed in the way you carry yourself, the way you speak, the way you address people. मुझे तो शोएब जमाई साहब लग रहा है आप इंडिया मुस्लिम फाउंडेशन से है और आपने सर नहीं ढका हुआ। मेरे हिसाब से आप भी डिग्निफाइड नहीं है। आप सर ढकिए नहीं तो ये क्या मतलब है? खाली औरतें सर ढका करेंगी और आप नहीं ढकेंगे, वो हमें तो आप भी डिग्निफाइड नहीं लग रहे।
नाविका, let me make it clear that I am absolutely convinced what
मर्दों को भी तो ढकने का हुक्म है। अब वो सऊदी अरब में आप जाइए, वो सारे उन्होंने पहने होते हैं, आप क्यों नहीं पहनते? आप क्यों नहीं पहनते हैं? आपकी डिग्निटी कहाँ है?
Should I continue? Yeah. Navika, let me confirm that I am very absolutely convinced what the Shaukat Jinnah Ali said that dignity cannot be defined what a woman choose to wear. Absolutely right. And I also believe that Iran as a country has no match with the grandeur, secularism and the democratic concept of the India. India is far superior in the concept of democracy, secularism, right to choice. लेकिन सवाल ये उठता है कि जो काम आज ईरान कर रहा है कि वो जबरदस्ती कर रहा है, राइट टू चॉइस को इन्फ्रिंज कर रहा है और कह रहा है कि नहीं, इस लड़की को हिजाब पहनना ही पड़ेगा वरना हम इसको गिरफ्तार कर देंगे। वही काम राइट टू चॉइस में इन्फ्रिंजमेंट कर्नाटक की सरकार या पूरी मीडिया वैगन या बीजेपी की लॉबी या प्रो बीजेपी लॉबी कर रही है कि लड़कियों को वो चला रही है, कह रही कि नहीं तुम हिजाब नहीं पहन सकते हो, अगर पहनोगे तो तुमको स्कूल से नहीं निकाल देंगे, तुमको डिप्राइव कर देंगे राइट टू एजुकेशन से। और 17,000 मुसलमान लड़की आज बीजेपी की इस जिद की वजह से कि तुम अगर हिजाब पहन के आओगी तो बेटी मैं तुमको स्कूल में पढ़ने नहीं दूंगा, तुमको निकाल दूंगा स्कूल से। आज 17,000 बेटियां स्कूलों से बाहर निकल गई हैं, उनका करियर खत्म हो गया। क्या इसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी प्राइम मिनिस्टर लेंगे या जो लोग यहां वुमेन राइट्स की बात करते हैं वो लेंगे? कौन लेगा उसकी जिम्मेदारी उन 17,000 लड़के? क्या किसी
वो धर्म के ठेकेदार जो उन्हें डरा धमका कर हिजाब के जो उसमें जकड़ रहे हैं वो लेंगे रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी। अच्छा, एक मिनट आप फैक्ट्स पर अगर बात कर रहे हैं तो मैं फैक्ट बता दूं। आपने कहा बीजेपी की सरकार। भाई साहब, शायद आपको पता नहीं है कि ये कर्नाटका के हाई कोर्ट का ऑर्डर था।
पहले ऑर्डर बीजेपी की गवर्नमेंट नहीं लाया था,
वो तो स्कूल में लगाई थी। फिर स्कूल में लगाई, शुरुआत
तो वहीं से हुई ना।
अब मैं पूछना चाहती हूं, लेट मी आस्क डॉक्टर आनंद रंगनाथन, डॉक्टर आनंद, एक मिनट
आपके पैकेज में 2 लड़की थी, नकाब पहनी हुई थी, पूरा सिर्फ उसका आंख दिख रहा था, इंग्लिश में बोल रही थी।
उस इंग्लिश में पढ़ी लिखी लड़की को क्या आपको लगता है किसी मौलवी मौलाना ने फोर्स किया होगा ये बोलने के लिए?
अच्छा, मुझे ये
कह रही
बता
है कि
दीजिए,
मेरा राइट है,
I want to ask
मैं
you,
पहनना चाहती हूँ, आप क्या करेंगे उसके लिए?
will that girl,
Are you with that girl or not? जो आपके पैकेज में यहाँ से बोल रही थी।
Can I ask, you know, I'm the anchor of the show,
Yes,
can I
yes.
ask you the question?
Yes, of
I want to ask you, can that girl with the hijab be a police officer tomorrow? Can she be a pilot tomorrow?
Yes, of
Are you clipping her wings even before she
Yes,
can
of
take
course.
flight? No,
Yes.
she can't. Because there is a uniform, my friend. There is a uniform that she will have to wear, and in the uniform.
But she can also wear hijab because
in the uniform there is no hijab. So Anand Ranganathan,
in
ये
Pakistan
देश
Air
को
Force,
certificate
in
दे रहे हैं.
Pakistan Air Force, women are
Please.
flying the aircraft, and they are wearing the hijab. In the Qatar Airways, so many women pilots are flying the aircraft, and they are wearing the hijab.
And Qatar,
The question.
you know,
They won the Olympic gold medal. They are
Navika-
professors, they are engineers, they are biotechnology. In my
जमाई
lab,
साहब, आप
in my
इतने भी
lab,
डिग्निफाइड नहीं है कि पूरे डिबेट में सिर्फ आप ही बोलेंगे, क्योंकि आपने सर नहीं ढका हुआ
because I
है.
was
एक
just
मिनट,
asking कि are you with
इस
that
वक्त-
those girl or not?
इस वक्त सर भी ढकिए और थोड़ा सा मुंह भी ढक लीजिए, क्योंकि आनंद रंगनाथन से सवाल पूछ रही हूँ. आनंद रंगनाथन, my question to you is simply this, that a uniform actually is not only for concealing religion, it's also for concealing the economic status. And therefore, in schools and junior college, if the children are wearing uniforms, there should be uniforms so that they cannot be differentiated on the basis of the clothes they wear, whether they are cotton or whether they are some other material, the rich or the poor, the Muslim or the Hindu. There should be no differentiation. But why do people like Mr. Shoaib Jamai now begin to talk about Qatar and Pakistan when Iran is not an example for them, because wahan to women are cutting their hair and cutting their hijabs. So that is an example that he will not give. Why is there such selectivism?
Good evening, Navika, and good evening to my fellow panelists. Navika, first up, before I come to the thrust of my thesis, can I just say that here I do agree with Shoaib Bhai, but I have a different argument that I'll come to later. Yes, of course, any school or a college has a prerogative to prescribe a uniform, but then all religious identities must be concealed. There should be no double standards. I'll come to that in a minute. But can I please begin with telling you that there are two issues here and we must delve into them one by one. Number one, on this lawyer, Mr. Dushyant Dave, arguing for the hijab to be allowed, honestly, he was as coherent as the Punjab Chief Minister about the Lufthansa flight yesterday. I didn't know that the Jodha Akbar Memorial WhatsApp University has started dispersing BA LLB degrees. He needs to be careful, because if his other clients heard his ridiculous support arguments, they will plead before the judge, my lord, हमने हमारे वकील साहब को सुना है, हम अपने आप ही अपना केस लड़ लेंगे, my lord, उनकी जरूरत नहीं है. Seriously, Navika, if I was hell, I would have advised him, Dave, the law may be an ass, but that is no reason for a lawyer to behave like one, Dave. I mean, Navika, where to begin? We are living in an age of wokeism, victimhood, selectivity and political correctness, and no one exemplified it as much as Dave did today. Has he been jabbed with an anti-vax vaccine instead of Covishield? Islam, he says, came to India without conquering. Really? Akbar, he says, was mellow. Really? The Ghazi of Chittor and the man who ordered non-hijab wearing women into prostitution was mellow. Sabrimala, he says, was discrimination. Really? There are many Hindu temples where men are barred entry, and there are many Sabrimala temples where women are allowed entry. It was only in this particular Sabrimala temple that because of the vow of the deity, menstruating women in a particular age bracket were not allowed on entry. And as for menstruating women, does he know that it is forbidden for a menstruating woman to touch Quran, recite a verse, enter mosque, do salat, perform tawaf, fast, have sex, 56, 79, 222 and Hadith Sharif? So are you going to redact all these verses? This man Dushyant Dave wants to liberate Hindu women, but cat gets his tongue when it comes to allowing entry of Muslim women into mosques or ordaining women as Catholic priests. Navika, very briefly, point number 2. I have said this before, that while hijab or a burqa is an oppressive symbol of misogyny or patriarchy, you may deem it, the holy book is very clear on how a woman should dress. Quote, and tell the believing women to reduce their vision and guard their private parts and to wrap their head covers over their chests and not expose their adornment except to their husbands, fathers or males having no physical desire. 24:31 quote. O Prophet, tell your wives and your daughters and the women of the believers to bring down over themselves part of the outer garments that is more suitable, that they will be known and not be abused. 33:59. So every true Muslim woman, Navika, has to adhere to this dress code. Finally, 30 seconds. There should be one rule, as I said, and no duplicity in implementing it. So a school can ban hijab because it has a specific rule of a uniform, but it cannot then at the same time allow unconcealed janehu, kada, cross, circumcised organ or a turban. If a school allows for dress codes or identities of other religions, it has to allow for Islam. No duplicity.
Well, I want to ask you, where in all this, Abdul Razak Khan, is the issue of dignity? I want to ask you, dignity being defined by the clothes you wear? You know, next we'll begin to say that you can't have a beard also because it's not dignified. You should also cover your head. You know, dignity argument. I have a fundamental problem with the dignity argument. And besides that, of course, by insisting on the hijab, when several Islamic countries are doing away with it, I see this as a design to fetter women, to bring them down, to not give them the options of several professions that they can actually excel at if uniform is something that is going to come in their way. So Abdul Razak Khan, what is it that you want? Are you bringing in the issue of dignity? You know, it was said by Shakespeare, beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. So why is dignity being related to clothes, right, and why are women being kept away from certain professions because uniform is what could take them forward? Abdul Razak Khan.
First of all, Navika ji, these arguments have been heard by the Supreme Court from the past 8 days, and for your information, this is not the only primary submission from the advocate Dushyant Dave. This is an additional submission along with many other submissions.
But it is a submission.
Now, secondly, what I would like to tell you is,
it is a submission, and therefore I have an objection.
Yeah, it is a submission.
As a woman, I object to this.
Yes,
Zeenat Shaukat Ali objects to this. So whether it is an additional or a primary, how does it matter? It is a submission.
The most dignified woman. Let me tell you the names of some of the most dignified women like Jhansi Rani Lakshmibai, like Pandita Ramabai Saraswati, like Modi ji's mother Hiraben, like Mother Teresa. There are many women who prefer to wear a headscarf, like President Pratibha Patil. I am saying it does not mean that somebody who is not wearing is not dignified. Somebody who wants to practice their religion in the way they want, we are so much tolerant that we are tolerating a Brahmin boy who comes inside the classroom having his head shaved with vermilion, with some kind of white naam on his forehead. We are tolerant to entertain him. We are tolerant to entertain a Sikh community boy who comes with a patka or a turban. Why are we so much intolerant when it comes to the matter of a Muslim girl who has been practicing parda right from her childhood, and it has been prescribed in the holy book?
The reason is,
why are we so intolerant?
Is very simply, the reason is, which are the symbols or which are the practices that are essential to a religion and which are not essential to a religion.
It is does the court will decide?
How would decide that? What is essential?
Navika, it is written in the religious book.
It is up to the believer.
The Quran decided
I have quoted to you the Quran
or not.
Now, who are we to say that what is written in the Quran is not essential? Is it for us to decide that?
My question is, are we in the वैसे तो सती था, वैसे तो there are many things that were said in our scriptures as conventions that widows will not eat with the rest of the family. Those kind of rituals.
Sati was opposed by the Hindu community itself. It was the social, यहाँ से rectification. इसमें कोर्ट का कोई लेना देना नहीं था.
So Zina Shaukat Ali is not from the religion itself. Zina Shaukat Ali. She is
also dignified.
She is also dignified.
Ask other panelists, other women panelists. She is also dignified.
You
said she is not dignified.
Will you want to conduct the debate, or can I bring in Zina Shaukat Ali? Zina Shaukat Ali, will a hijab decide what a woman can or cannot do, and whether she is dignified or not? And is hijab keeping women in the Muslim community a little behind the other women? Yes or no? Please give me an honest answer.
Of course not.
You see, the entire perspective that has been taken. You see, first of all, the Muslim community does not have a very high level of education. And there is, this line, very strong line drawn, that this is as far as you can go, and this is what you do, and this is what you don't do. Those restrictions are very strong on women and on the girls, and less on the men. So there is no doubt about that. And I've seen from a very young age, from the age of 3 to the age of 5, I have seen in schools, girls are wearing long sleeves, girls are wearing veils. Now this is a misinterpretation. I do not agree at all with Dr. Ranganathan. Let me be absolutely clear on this fact, that his interpretation of Islam is more like Zakir Naik and mine is not. But that is a different debate, and we can have that debate at some other time. This is not the time, Dr. Ranganathan. But I'm simply saying that the entire interpretation and understanding goes in that direction. So here you do find that Muslim girls are, they may want, they're very highly intelligent children. I'm attached to a Muslim school, and I can tell you that the children are brilliant. But there is that line drawn that this far, this is
Navika, my name has been taken. Can I please come in? Navika, my name has been taken. 10 seconds. Navika.
Yes,
Navika,
Mr. Zakir Naik, as she called you. Yes, go ahead.
Yes. Navika, please. Navika.
Yes, Mr. Zakir Naik.
Yes.
You have a choice.
Navika. Navika.
Sorry, Anand Ranganathan, you've been called Zakir Naik by Zina Shaukat Ali.
Is anybody questioning you, madam?
Navika, can I please? अब्दुल रज़ाक साहब, प्लीज, आपको अच्छा लगेगा जो मैं कहने वाला हूँ, प्लीज सुन लीजिए. इंटरप्ट मत कीजिए.
Don't interrupt.
I did interrupt. I did interrupt.
I am with you, brother. Tonight I am with you. You have said right thing.
She has a choice.
When you say the right thing, you will be called Zakir Naik.
Navika, can I please?
Yes, please, go ahead.
Thank you. Look, I say it again. I never interpret the Holy Quran's verses. I only quote them. And मैं जाकिर नायक नहीं हूं, मैं जाकिर नायक मेरे गुरु हैं. यहां पे आपके पैनल पे 4 मुस्लिम हैं, उनमें से एक मिस अली हैं. वो कह रही हैं मैं गलत हूं कि 24, 31 और 33, 59 वर्सेस ये नहीं बताती कि विमेन को कैसे ड्रेस होना चाहिए. बाकी 3 मुस्लिम हैं, एक शोएब भाई है, एक रजाक भाई है और एक और मेरी मुस्लिम बहन है. उन तीनों से पूछिए, क्या 24, 31 और 33, 59 ये नहीं कहती कि विमेन को कैसे ड्रेस होना चाहिए? पूछिए उनसे, पूछिए अल्लाह ने कहा कि नहीं कहा?
That is the advice.
प्लीज पूछिए.
मैं जवाब
नहीं, एक मिनट. जीनत साहिबा,
मतलब बार-बार मुझे गलत कहने का कुछ नहीं है.
1 minute. Zinat is responding. Zinat Shaukat Ali is responding. Abdul Razak Khan, मेरे भाई, I'm coming to you. Zinat.
Get into that. We are not here. We are talking about dignity, and I think it's a very important issue that Navika ji has raised, and we should stick to that issue. And not get into these without understanding the background, sir.
Shoaib bhai may agree with you, but Zina Shaukat Ali is coming from the position, and allow me to understand this as a woman. It is the conservativeness.
thinking.
1 minute. Conservativeness which comes down from generation to generation, that sometimes women are conditioned in a manner to think that yes, hijab is the only way, and if they don't go that way, then it is probably going to be sacrilege. So Lubna ji, I want to get in Miss Lubna and Dr. Lubna, the issue here is dignity of a woman going to be described by the hijab that she wears or any clothes that she wears? Are you saying Muslim women who do not wear a hijab are not dignified, and Hindu women today working in many professions today who don't wear a pallu or a ghungat on their head are all undignified and loose charactered as some would describe them? I'm asking you that question.
Madam, you are wearing a top and a bottom, right? What if I ask you to
I'm
remove
wearing
your
a
bottom
sari and a
or
blouse.
top public?
I'm wearing a sari and a blouse. I'm not wearing a
Yes,
top
along
and a
with
bottom.
that.
Shoaib bhai is wearing a top and a bottom.
Yes. By top I mean a blouse. I mean a blouse only. So if I ask you to remove your blouse or your top, how will you feel?
1 minute.
Tell me as a woman, how will you feel? So that is the same position with some girls who have been taught to wear a hijab right from the 3 or 5 years of age. That is the part of their personality now. You cannot ask them to remove hijab now when they are 15
So
or 16.
you are saying, Lubna, Dr. Lubna, you are saying they have been taught. They have been
Just a
taught.
minute, let me complete.
Which
Let me
means
complete.
which
Let me
means
complete.
free will. Free will.
Complete.
What about
Let
free
me
will?
Complete. Let me complete. No. Do not interfere, madam. Do not interfere. Let me complete. Most of the girls going to government colleges, government schools belong to the low socio-economic status. They are from very poor families, and yes, they have been taught. They have been brainwashed. They might have been brainwashed. Yes, definitely. So, but what trouble is it causing? If a turban is not causing a problem, why should a hijab cause so much of trouble? The second thing is that you said that men over here should cover their heads. Madam, it is not required. Men have to guard their gaze. They have to watch their sight.
तो इनकी आंखों पे पट्टी बांध दीजिए.
They are not
women
required
will not have to wear a hijab. If men wear a patti on their eyes, women will not have to wear a hijab.
This is not argument. This is not the way a debate goes.
No panelist is a stalker here. That's why we don't need
talk to me
patti.
like that.
No panelist is a stalker here.
Women should wear hijab.
No. हमने कहा उनसे किसी से, मैं अली जी से कह रहा हूँ कि आप हिजाब पहनिए, नहीं कह रहे, लेकिन आप हमारी बेटियों से कह रहे हो कि तुम हिजाब नहीं पहनो, यानी आप जबरदस्ती और जिद कर रहे हो।
नहीं पहनो, बाकी जहाँ मर्जी पहनो।
अरे भाई
स्कूल में मत पहनो भाई,
फिर स्कूल में यहाँ से कड़ा भी मत पहनो,
क्योंकि
स्कूल में टर्बन भी मत पहनो। और एसेंशियलिटी और नॉन एसेंशियलिटी का क्राइटेरिया देखिए, इस पर तय नहीं होता कि कितने लोग उस फेथ को प्रैक्टिस कर रहे हैं या नहीं कर रहे हैं। बहुत सारे लोग नमाज नहीं भी पढ़ रहे हैं, तो क्या ये मुसलमान नहीं है? लेकिन वो फेथ का ये होता है कि कितना वो प्रैक्टिसिंग है और कितना नॉन प्रैक्टिसिंग। दूसरी बात, आनंद जी से मैं सहमत हूं, उन्होंने कुरान में कहा कि ये कुरान में चीजें लिखो। बेशक जो बातें कुरान में लिखी है वो लाजिम है, जो हदीस में लिखी वो सुन्नत है, उसको कोई नहीं बदल सकता। हाँ, मेरे ऊपर चॉइस है, मेरा फ्री विल है, मैं उसको कितना मानता हूं या नहीं मानता हूं। मेरे प्रैक्टिस करने और ना प्रैक्टिस करने से किसी का एसेंशियलिटी और नॉन एसेंशियलिटी का क्राइटेरिया तय नहीं होता है। ये बात जान लीजिए आप।
He is saying the freedom is mine, the freedom is his, or is the hijab being imposed on younger girls? I want to ask
Navika ji, just two submissions. I'm not a scholar or a scientist like Dr. Anand ji, but at the same point of time, as a self-confessed Gandhian and Hindu-Muslim unity Wadi, I would like to point out two things. One, the spirit of Holy Quran 24:30 minutes, and tell the believing women to lower their gaze and guard their modesty. The core submission is modesty. And Holy Quran rightly points out modesty. Every religion, whether it be Hindu, Christian or Muslim, believes in the idea of modesty. Sir, please. And please, I would request my Muslim brothers, I am an ordinary conservative Hindu. I am not a progressive person. I am not a liberal. I am not a scientist. As an ordinary conservative, faithful Hindu, I would request my Muslim brothers, let our conservative or faithful interpret, understand our religious text in a context of time too. For example, here Lubna ma'am is sitting. She is not covering her entire face. She is using a very modest dress. So please remember, the crux is modesty. Mahatma Gandhi, 1947, Fatehpur Sikri, when he was asked about Parda, our father of the nation pointed out, I go so far as to say that Holy Quran does not mention any specific dress code, but only uphold the ideal of modesty. Now please, only one request. Let us not interrupt our leaders.
Rahul Ishwar, everyone is saying,
come back to the question. I come back to the question. Who is to define modesty? Who is to define dignity? And Dr. Lubna. No, but that is the argument in court. The argument in court.
माँ बाप अपने बच्चे को एक संस्कार देते हैं. हिंदू माँ बाप अपने बच्चों को संस्कार देते हैं. आपकी माँ ने आपको संस्कार दिए. मुसलमानों के माँ बाप ने आपको संस्कार दिए. हर किसी का कल्चरल आइडेंटिटी है. आर्टिकल 29, 30, आर्टिकल 19, आर्टिकल 24.
और रखिए.
राइट टू चॉइस, राइट टू प्राइवेसी, राइट टू एजुकेशन, राइट टू कल्चर. बिकॉज स्कूल में पब्लिक प्रॉपर्टी है, प्राइवेट प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है. स्कूल इज अ पब्लिक स्कूल. टैक्स पेयर का मनी जो गवर्नमेंट स्कूल है उसमें टैक्स पेयर.
1 minute.
डायरेक्ट और इनडायरेक्ट.
1 minute.
Is institutional rights higher or individual rights higher? And court has pointed out.
Either make the school religion neutral. No Bhagavad Gita. No यहाँ
से. But nobody is. Where is the Bhagavad Gita being taught in any of the schools? Where is?
Either make.
Where is the Bhagavad Gita in schools? Where is the Bhagavad Gita in schools? You know, are you equating Bhagavad? अच्छा Bhagavad Gita नहीं. अगर Bhagavad Gita नहीं पढ़ाएंगे तो क्या हिजाब ऑप्शनल हो जाएगी? जीना चौकत is this some question?
अगर मुझे भगवत गीता पढ़ने में कोई दिक्कत नहीं है नाविका जी, तो आपको कुरान पढ़ने में क्या दिक्कत होगी?
कोई दिक्कत नहीं है, मुझे कोई दिक्कत
नहीं है. Either make the school religion neutral. किसी का धर्म नहीं पढ़ाया जाएगा. सिर्फ राष्ट्रगान हो और
जीनत. 1 minute, please allow me to moderate this debate.
Why is Zeenat kicking?
Because your brother Shoaib Jamai doesn't allow you to talk. Okay, you make your statement. I want to ask you, are you going to keep certain professions away from women, and are women who don't wear hijabs not dignified? Just answer these two questions.
Madam, in UK, it is part of the police uniform now. Are you aware of that?
Yes.
The second thing is that I teach in a medical college. My Hindu colleague, she went to the college once wearing jeans and she was not allowed. She was asked by the principal to not come into jeans. So do you think if girls start coming in minis or mini skirts or shorts, there won't be any reactions? Just leave women's dress alone. Why is it always under scrutiny? Let me wear whatever I want. Let me remove whatever I want. I stand with the Karnataka girls as well and the Iranian girls. I stand with both of them.
Of course.
Zina Chaukat Ali.
Now,
see, the point is that, when your mind is made up, and when, as you said, you're taught when you're a child that this is the only way things can function, then it is very difficult for anyone to explain this. It is how we understand our scripture. It is how we define our modesty. It is how we conduct ourselves with dignity. I did not interrupt you, madam. I know you're a very, very learned scholar, and I'm very, very small scholar before you. You are too learned. You know better than Imam Mutlaq from Saudi Arabia. You know better than Imam Tahtawi, who have not considered this kind of an outfit as a necessity or an essential part of Islam. But you consider it. So you are more learned than them. I am not as learned as you are, but I am still entitled to my very humble opinion.
You don't know the difference between Fard and Wajib.
and that is that when you train
I corrected you yesterday on another debate.
When your child has to face the world, it is like, when we are talking about madrasa education also, that the imam has to learn scientifically so that he can work in the wider world. So similarly, when girls are exposed and they have to take position, there are some people who are inborn to work in the army. They are very good at that. There are some girls who are inborn to work in the police, and they're very good at that. There are some girls who are inborn to work, in the judiciary, and they're very good at that. So this should not hamper the progress.
Absolutely, my point. My point.
Ma'am, I came from madrasa background. Then later on, I earned a PhD degree in cancer biology. As my friend Dr. Anand Ranganathan, he is also from the same field. He is my senior colleague. But I came from the madrasa background. It does not hinder me to earn a doctorate degree.
Raja Ram Mohan Roy. 1 minute. Anand Ranganathan. My question, Anand Ranganathan, is if women are wearing hijab in the current context in India, what is happening in the UK and Saudi Arab is not the subject matter of this debate. I am asking you, will certain professions then be out of the reach of these women? And in a modern country like ours, should this conditioning actually determine how far and what they want to do with their lives? Because we've conditioned them in a certain manner. That's the only simple question I'm asking.
Absolutely. Let me answer it. Before that, let me please slightly correct my good friend Dr. Jamai, because it may seem, because I quote the verses, that I am from madrasa education, but मैंने madrasas नहीं पढ़ा हुआ है, लेकिन मैं clarify करना चाहता हूँ. But Navika, as to your question,
doctorate, PhD in biochemistry,
as for answering your question,
ये PhD आपने मदरसे में की थी?
After the madrasa.
तो मदरसे में तो डॉक्टर नहीं बन सकते ना?
After madrasa,
मदरसे में तो डॉक्टर नहीं बन सकते ना?
लेकिन मदरसा बैकग्राउंड से आए हुए बच्चे भी आगे चल के पढ़ सकते हैं. मदरसा एक बेसिक एजुकेशन है जो रिलीजियस टीचिंग और थियोलॉजी का पार्ट है, जिससे मैंने कुरान और हदीस सीखा. देन लेटर ऑन आई डू माय स्कूलिंग एंड
डॉक्टर आनंद रंगनाथन ने बिना मदरसे गए सीख लिया. डॉक्टर आनंद रंगनाथन.
ओके, knowledge have no boundary. Everyone can learn.
Okay.
I also ask you to learn the Quran, even some verses, because you are doing debates on that.
Thank you for your advice,
so it would be easy for you to understand.
Thank you for your advice, but
Navika, you asked a very important and pointed question. Let me answer that in 30 seconds. No job, no profession is beyond any Muslim woman. Let me be absolutely clear on that. In our lab right now, from Dr. Jamai's Jamia Millia Islamia, there is a woman, exceedingly gifted scientist, who wears the whole burqa.
Yes.
And she is in no way less than any other woman scientist. Let me be very clear.
Exactly.
हम क्या कहना चाह रहे हैं यहाँ पे? हम डिबेट से हट क्यों रहे हैं? हम ये कह रहे हैं कि जब किसी रिलीजन में ये कहा गया है कि आपको ऐसे ड्रेस करना है, जो ट्रू बिलीवर है वो वैसे ड्रेस करेगा. आप डुप्लिसिटी मत लाइए. आप स्कूल में या तो रिलीजन, जैसे मैं कहता हूं, रिमूव ऑल रिलीजियस आइडेंटिटीज फ्रॉम द स्कूल, ऑल ऑफ देम. लेकिन if you introduce one, you have to introduce the other.
But Ranganathan, my question is not about a woman working in a lab. My question is about a woman working in the police force. My question is about a woman working in the Indian Air Force, in the Indian Army. Will she be allowed to wear a hijab? Because they say यूनिफॉर्म में हिजाब होना चाहिए. अभी तो नहीं है.
जब वो वहां जाएगी तो वो अपना हिजाब.
आनंद रंगनाथन आपका नाम है?
Navika, now please let me answer. Shoaib bhai, please. Okay. Because these are very serious matters. Yes. They're not frivolous. Navika, you see, every job entails a kind of professionalism to it. For example, a woman cannot be a gymnast wearing a burqa, right? So you cannot force the gymnastic federation that I will start doing floor exercise wearing a burqa. You can't. Some jobs entail a proper uniform. For that there has to be some restrictions, but other than that, I don't see anything wrong in a police woman wearing a hijab.
That is the question. Are we putting,
because it is ordained by religion,
some of these jobs beyond what women in hijab may not be allowed to do? Are we keeping these above? And I, as a woman, find this as fetters being put on certain women, whether they are forced to do a hijab, whether they are forced to do a ghungat or a pallu on their head. They take away certain opportunities. Not just that, we go back to the issue of schools. And in schools, a uniform, according to me, is absolutely a necessity. Can you imagine a teacher walking into a classroom where there are
Navika,
5 children wearing a hijab? Immediately you are treated as somebody who's different, and that, to my mind, is something that goes against how people should be treated in a classroom.
Is someone wearing a turban not treated differently then? Is someone wearing a turban also seen differently?
Can I just make
Abdul Razak Khan, Abdul Razak Khan.
I just want to make a small submission. Tomorrow, if somebody wants to become a swimmer, while she is swimming, she will wear the swimsuit and swim. Other time she will wear what she wants. Today, if my sisters are wearing hijab, let them wear hijab. Tomorrow, if they want to do gymnastics, they will remove the hijab and do gymnastics. It is up to their choice.
But are they being allowed that free choice? Rahul Ishwar, are they being allowed that free choice? Zina Chaukat Ali, are they being allowed the free choice, or are they being conditioned? And we come back to the question. When the lawyer itself is arguing, the lawyer himself is arguing on the basis of dignity. What is it that is at stake? Is the attire now being linked to dignity, and is dignity being brought in because that is the conditioning? I want to ask you, Zina Chaukat Ali.
Like hijab.
You see, what the gentleman just now said, that if you wear a hijab and she wants to get into gymnastics, then she can always remove the hijab and get into the gymnastics. So then why can't she remove the hijab and get into her class and study like the rest of the children?
Exactly. Rest your case there. Rest your case there. And they say this is deliberately being made into an issue of a great divide, when actually there shouldn't be any. In a school, in a classroom, there is no necessity for a hijab. Outside the classroom, well, women are free to wear what they will. But why is a woman's dignity being linked to the hijab is an objectionable expression that I find. Where do you stand on it, dear viewers? Do write in to us. Thanking my panelists joining me on debate number 1. We move on to the other big debate. Can Bapu's prayer to unite all Indians be communalized today? PDP chief Mehbooba Mufti today injected a religious spin when young Kashmiri children sang the all-faith prayer, Ishwar Allah Tero Naam, Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram. They chanted this in preparation for Gandhi Jayanti celebrations in their school to hail the Mahatma, the father of our nation. Yet, Mehbooba Mufti now claims that the BJP was pushing its Hindutva agenda in Kashmir by forcing Muslim children to sing Hindu bhajans in schools. She has also called this an attack on Islam. Let's listen in to Mehbooba Mufti.
हर मज़हब के लोग रहते हैं और हमारे आइन, हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने, चाहे वो हिंदू हो, मुसलमान हो, सिख हो, ईसाई हो, बौद्ध हो, सबको इख्तियार दिया है कि वो अपने मज़हब का फॉलो अप करे. और यही वजह है कि जो जम्मू कश्मीर एक मुस्लिम मेजॉरिटी स्टेट होने के बावजूद उन्होंने पाकिस्तान को दरकिनार करके एक जमहूरी हिंदुस्तान के साथ हाथ मिलाया, एक सेकुलर हिंदुस्तान के साथ हाथ मिलाया. हमारे स्कूल के बच्चों को, जो मुस्लिम बच्चे हैं, देखिए हम हिंदू मुसलमान में फ़र्क नहीं करते, मगर हर एक को हक दिया है हमारे कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन ने अपने अपने मज़हब को फॉलो करने का. और इन बच्चों को जो भजन है वो इनसे उनको गाने के लिए कहा जाता है उनको. तो मुझे लगता है कि ये अब हमारे मज़हब के ऊपर सीधे एक हिसाब से अटैक कर रहे हैं.
Well, the question we are asking on the Newshour tonight is, What is communal or Hindutva about Raghupati Raghav? And joining me tonight on the debate, Shehzad Poonawalla, spokesperson of the BJP, and Majid Haidari, Kashmiri activist. Shehzad Poonawalla, even Raghupati Raghav, Raja Ram, the Bapu's prayer for unifying India has now been termed absolutely communal by Mehbooba Mufti. Is there a problem in the thought process that they want to spread in Kashmir?
पर ये तो होना ही था. The level of appeasement politics today has reduced to Mr. Majid Haidari, Mehbooba Mufti and his ilk finding Yasin Malik as an ambassador of peace and Mahatma Gandhi as communal. This was bound to happen. Look at this way. These are the same people when 370 was removed, they called it communal. Today when the Dalits and the women of Jammu Kashmir get rights, they call it communal. Today when the tricolor flutters from Lal Killa to Lal Chowk, they call it communal. Today I just have one question for Majid Haidari, that if this is communal, this is Sampradayak, Ishwar Allah Tero Naam, when Ralif Salif Galif, these naras were given from the masjids and Kashmiri Hindus were forced for a genocide, will he call this Islamic Jihad?
Majid Haidari, respond.
Well, Shehzad bhai, Raghupati Raghav Raja Ram Patite Pavan Sita Ram. I mean, this is the revered hymn of my Hindu brothers, but this Gandhian bhajan is neither our national anthem, nor our national song, and not anywhere in the constitution of the country. I don't know why and how come you can enforce it on the Muslim students as being a nationalist sentiment or an endeavor of nationalism.
Don't Muslim students treat Gandhiji as the father of the nation?
Yes, they do. Everybody does.
And
but this is about a bhajan, a Hindu bhajan.
2nd October, the Gandhi Jayanti around the corner?
गांधी जयंती आज बड़ा गांधी जी पे प्यार आया है, बेहद और बेहिसाब आया है, but let's understand that this is more as a part of our constitutional values. Gandhi ji, we have respect for Gandhi ji, we have respect for his values, but his time, this Hindu hymn is about the Hindu brothers, not for the Muslim community. You can't enforce it on us because we have issues. ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरा नाम सबको सम्मति दे अल्लाह.
तो भी आपको तकलीफ है?
नहीं, हमें प्रॉब्लम ये है कि जब हम ये भजन गाएंगे तो हमारा धर्म भ्रष्ट हो जाएगा. या तो आप ये कहिए कि ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरा नाम सबको सम्मति दे अल्लाह.
He said, Mr. Majid, because it's a short debate, let me ask you something. You said that because it's not in the constitution, why should we sing it? Okay, no problem. National song is Vande Mataram, will you sing it? And Yasin Malik was convicted by a court of law under the constitution. Do you consider him as a terrorist?
See, I take a very strong exception of you comparing Mahatma Gandhi with Yasin Malik. You take your
I have not compared it. I have compared something else. No, only a person of your education and understanding could derive that from Yasin Malik being convicted by a court of law. Do you accept him as a terrorist? Yes or no?
Mahatma Gandhi, and this is how BJP has always trivialized Mahatma Gandhi and his contribution in the freedom struggle. If we are being clear here because of Mahatma Gandhi, not because of any Goshe or Savarkar.
और आप सवाल
Majid has educated himself in a convent. He has not gone to a madrasa or any other institution where English is not.
Alhamdulillah, I have read in a missionary school.
Yeah, you were. I know that you were in a missionary school. I know that. There you used to say, you used to praise Jesus, and that was fine for you. But here, Ishwar Allah is a problem for you. But now let me ask you again. I am asking you that if national song is Vande Mataram, will you sing it? Yes or no?
See, this is again about my religious right.
This is not about national anthem.
I have my right to freedom of religion, and this goes against my religious values. You can't enforce it on me. Vande Mataram is not enforceable, brother. You read the constitution first. You can't enforce Vande Mataram on a Muslim citizen. No, please.
Okay, is it our national song, yes or no? Vande Mataram.
Well, it's debatable. It's debatable on multiple fronts because India is a secular country. India is a secular country. I mean, this is legally debatable. This is legally debatable.
Vande Mataram is the national song. There is no debate on it.
There is no debate on it. It is the national song.
He is confusing with Pakistan.
No, this is legally debatable because India is a secular country and you can't have a
Nehru ji बनाकर गए थे national song. आपके नेहरू जी जो आपको पसंद है वो बनाए गए थे. ऐसा भी नहीं कि बीजेपी ने किया.
80s to 90s when Kashmiri Hindus were being killed in Kashmir, was Kashmir communal then?
No, if singing Gandhiji's bhajan will get pandits back, I'll say okay, Ishwar Allah tero naam sabko sammati de Allah.
पर मैं आपसे सवाल पूछूं, आप सवाल से क्यों भाग रहे हैं? अगर रघुपति राघव गाने से हिंदुत्व का एजेंडा हो जाता है तो 80 और 90 के बीच में फिर कम्युनल एजेंडा था ना?
One more question.
No, this is saffronization of Gandhian principles. You are trying to saffronize Gandhian.
Chalo, I'll ask you one more question.
And this is what we have dispute over this.
Majid, one more question. Burhan Wani wanted to...
I have two anchors questioning me. This is
It's
really
not two
unfair.
anchors. You have one panelist and one anchor, and both of us are flabbergasted that you are saying it's debatable that national song is Vande Mataram. Anyways, let me come to the point.
2:1. Okay.
No, it's not 2:1. It's 100. It's 140 crore is to 1. All Indians are wondering what you are saying. But now coming to the point. Burhan Wani wanted to create an Islamic state in Kashmir. Do you think Burhan Wani was peddling a communal, poisonous Islamist agenda?
No, why should we discuss Burhan Wani?
Because you are saying Ishwar Allah is a Hindutva agenda of Mahatma Gandhi. So I am asking you, Burhan Wani was peddling an Islamic caliphate agenda.
This is your conspiracy. You try to encash Mahatma Gandhi for your sinister design.
Killing of Kashmiri Hindus was not a conspiracy. Driving Kashmiri Hindus out of Kashmir was not a conspiracy. But asking a question on Burhan Wani is a conspiracy. Majid Haidri, ये सोच कहां से लाते हैं आप?
नाविका साहिबा, एक सिंपल पॉइंट है.
भी टेढ़ा हो गया.
Bring one amendment. Bring one amendment in this budget.
आपकी सोच के साथ साथ आपका कैमरा भी टेढ़ा हो गया है.
इनकी सोच.
No, please bring one amendment in this budget. Let's say Ishwar Allah tero naam sabko sammati de Allah. The Muslim kids will chant it. There is no problem.
चलिए, तो अल्लाह तो है ही उसमें. ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम, तो अल्लाह तो है उसमें.
सबको सम्मति दे अल्लाह.
सबको सम्मति दे
अल्लाह. हो जाएगा वरना.
सबको सम्मति दे अल्लाह. हे खुदा, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. हमें तो कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं. आपको क्यों होती है?
प्रॉब्लम नहीं हो रही, हमारा धर्म भ्रष्ट होता है इन शब्दों से.
अच्छा, नहीं, देखिए, वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग. अगर ईश्वर अल्लाह और भगवान एक साथ आ गया तो मेरा धर्म भ्रष्ट हो रहा है, पर अगर जैश ए मोहम्मद आतंकवादी कह रहा है तो वो तब धर्म भ्रष्ट नहीं हो रहा है. जब हिजबुल मुजाहिदीन कह रहा है और इतने पावन पाक इस्लाम के नारों का नाम का इस्तेमाल हो रहा है, तब इनका धर्म भ्रष्ट नहीं हो रहा है. अरे आपकी बुद्धि भ्रष्ट है माजिद हैदरी, और आपका फ्रेम नहीं, आपका सोच टेढ़ा हो चुका है. आप खुद टेढ़े हो चुके हो कि आज महात्मा गांधी इनके लिए सांप्रदायिक है और बुरहान वानी इनके लिए सेकुलरिज्म और पीस का सबसे बड़ा पोस्टर बॉय है. और ऐसी सोच को कैसे सुधारा जाए? फ्रेम तो फिर भी सीधा हो जाएगा.
माजिद हैदरी उठकर चले गए हैं या उनका फ्रेम कैमरा सीधा करने चले गए हैं या फ्रेम उनका सीधा नहीं हो रहा? माजिद हैदरी जी, सोच टेढ़ी क्यों है इतनी?
नहीं, सोच टेढ़ी नहीं है, फ्रेम टेढ़ा हो गया.
जैशे मोहम्मद का नाम बदनाम नहीं कर रहा,
पर ईश्वर अल्लाह भगवान भ्रष्ट हो गया फिर अल्लाह का नाम.
See, madam, you are trying to compare everything about terrorism with Mahatma Gandhi's values and principles. That is why I said this is an attempt to sacrifice Gandhian principles, Gandhian ideology, and we condemn it.
10 सेकंड है तो एक और सवाल.
10 सेकंड है.
महात्मा गांधी के प्रिंसिपल्स थे राम राज्य होना चाहिए. आप अग्री करते हैं कि राम राज्य सांप्रदायिक है?
देखिए, महात्मा गांधी ने कहा मुसलमानों का आदर करो. He said मोहम्मद
आज तो मोहम्मद और मोहित दोनों के घर में शौचालय बन रहे हैं भाई. आज तो शिल्पा और सुल्ताना दोनों को उज्ज्वला मिल रहा है भाई. ऐसा नहीं है कि जो दंगे होते थे भागलपुर के, हाशिमपुरा के, मुंबई
नहीं, मुसलमानों को सीए मिल रहा है, ट्रिपल तलाक मिल रहा है, मुसलमानों को हलाल बैन मिल रहा है, हिजाब
तलाक तो सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने बोला, आपने बोला कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन की मानते हो.
मिल रहा है.
ट्रिपल तलाक में भी आपको दिक्कत है. आप चाहते हैं कि हिजाब पहनकर और ट्रिपल तलाक के अधीन रहे लड़कियां. वेल, दिस इज द थिंकिंग, दिस इज द थॉट प्रोसेस. लेडीज एंड जेंटलमैन, वी ऑल ग्रोन अप सिंगिंग रघुपति राघव राजा राम, पतित पावन सीता राम, ईश्वर अल्लाह तेरो नाम, सबको सन्मति दे भगवान. But some in Kashmir have a problem with even that, because there is a problem with normalcy returning in Kashmir. Picture halls being opened, cinema halls coming, schools not being burnt down anymore, schools being constructed, libraries being made, cafes being made in schools and libraries. That is the normal and the Naya Kashmir. Where is the problem that some people in Kashmir having it from? That's the question we are asking. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for joining me on the Newshour tonight. Good night. Be safe.
The News Hour at 9 will be right back after the break. The News Hour at 9.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the Council of Mayors of BJP in Gujarat's Gandhinagar via video conferencing. He stressed on following construction rules to avoid building collapses and fires. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who is on a one-day visit to Gujarat, was greeted with Modi Modi chants outside Vadodara Airport. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said digitized financial services in India have generated global interest, added that unbanked Indian citizens can also access formal financial channels now. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh held bilateral talks with the Egyptian Defense Minister General Mohammed Zaki in Cairo. During the meet, Rajnath Singh was accorded a ceremonial guard of honor. UP government has suspended Saharanpur sports officer after Union Minister Anurag Thakur directed that strict action to be taken against officers accused of putting food meant for players in a sports camp on toilet surfaces. Stage set for a contest for Congress President post as nomination filing for Congress begins in 3 days. Tharoor Gehlot in the fray.
You were watching the News Hour at 9. Stay tuned.
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.
welcome. You're watching the Newshour Agenda, India's most loved primetime show at 10. I'm Padmaja Joshi. For the last few days, when the world was fixated on the Queen's funeral, something else was also unfolding in the UK. A tension that started on the 28th of August, supposedly after an India-Pakistan match, then bubbled over into full-blown clashes on the 17th of September. In the course of those clashes, at least one temple was defiled, a saffron flag was torn down, community members claimed that another saffron flag was also burned, several houses and shops were attacked. But curiously, despite all of this, some have turned this case on its head and have read deep Hindutva militancy into an attack on a temple. So a temple got attacked, and what are we talking about? Hindu extremism creeping into the UK. While a TMC spokesperson advised that Hindutva extremism must be flagged after what happened in Leicester, because these overseas extremist groups also fund the BJP, and if not curbed, the threat of Hindutva extremism will grow. Another leader of the CPM opined that communal tension in India is now being exported, and the reason for this export is to benefit the RSS, which presumably will now also be working in the UK. So the question is, how did an attack on a community become an attack by the community? Isn't it strange that after a temple is attacked, somehow the only thing horrifying people is the rise of Hindutva extremism and RSS influence in the United Kingdom? And finally, what really happened in Leicester still remains very, very foggy. Was this basically a battle for control, a street fight, clashes between different gangs, a law and order issue between two groups is being given a communal color? Let's find out.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 1 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Alright, joining us right now is Tausif Ahmed, advocate, and Advan Banerjee, political analyst. We'll be joined by Gokul Chandran in a bit, Manu Khajuria, somebody who's a very vocal citizen, rights activist, now based in the UK for the last decade and more. Dishita Kumar, somebody who is from Leicester, was an eyewitness to the vandalism that happened. But my first question is to Wasik, who's a counter-extremism analyst in London. Wasik, let's just get facts right first. The suggestion from some journalists from the UK is that this is basically a law and order situation that is being given a communal color. It was just a gang fight. What is your analysis?
So, well, thank you for having me on. The situation that's unfolded in Leicester presents the British security services with two issues. The first is that there's a regional Islamist network operating, and so when we're thinking about that, are they jumping on any issue and making it into a Muslim one? And the second point for the security services is, what realistic comparative threat is there between the so-called Hindutva extremists and Islamist extremism? So we need to be clear about something here. Law-abiding British Muslims and Hindus are being caught up in a manufactured conflict, seeking to replicate what's happening in other parts of the world. Leicester is and has been seen as a beacon of multi-ethnic and religious example. Both the Muslim and Hindu community there have lived in peace and harmony for many years. But when a minor scuffle takes place as a result of India's win over Pakistan in the cricket, we saw this snowball into an uncontrollable situation. And so this then presents those questions then for law enforcement, is that are they able to deal with it? And is it perhaps being blown out of proportion in terms of comparing the two supposed threats between each other?
So, let me ask you directly, how did it start? Right now, when people in India are looking at Leicester, they're saying, oh, this is right-wing extremism. These are Hindu extremists who have basically taken their bigotry from India across the border into UK. Is that what is happening?
Well, I think I think we need to be balanced in this. There may be some of that that's come through, and there may be some that's localized the threat Now, what we do know is that since India's win over Pakistan during the cricket, some people were rightly celebrating, and they were celebrating on the streets. We see that quite often, whether it's Eid celebrations, Diwali celebrations, or Vaisakhi celebrations. Now, as a result of that, people were drunk and people were misbehaving, and we saw obviously some antisocial behavior. And then this starts to snowball, and then people start to manufacture that it's a situation where Hindus are now attacking Muslims, Muslims are attacking Hindus. And so we need to be proportionate in our response to this, and really take a considered approach when we're looking at this.
Fair enough. This is at worst a clash between two communities. At best, this is something that was coming out of a cricket match and things went completely out of hand. But what one cannot understand, Anirban Banerjee, that how did this turn into quote unquote Hindutva extremism? People who are basically sitting at home are having their homes vandalized, and then it becomes their fault. The only visible sign of vandalism right now is a temple that has been desecrated, a saffron flag that has been burnt, and some Hindu houses who have recorded their, a group of individuals who are tearing off a saffron flag and attacking their house front. How is this Hindu extremism, Anirban Banerjee?
So yeah,
the last time I was on this topic debating, there was a citizen from Leicester, from the United Kingdom, who claimed very unabashedly that Hindus were attacked by Muslims. I mean, these lines, these are so identical to us back home in India, who are every day, every minute fighting these communal fascists, that this is a very identical script. We hear these lines repeatedly from the RSS BJP gang. They will always try to label everything and anything as Hindu versus Muslims. It is as if it is their birthright to represent the Hindu community as a whole. But it's not. The Hindu community as a whole is not represented by anyone.
Nobody is claiming to represent the Hindu community as a whole. If Manu Khajuria stays in the UK, she is representing herself.
So therefore, when
and she is saying that people that she has spoken to and people that she knows who are Hindus have been attacked. Now, how is that a script or similar to this fascism that you gallantly are fighting every day?
Why? Yeah, we are fighting and maybe you are supporting. So the difference is that whenever there is an attacker and a victim, why is it so necessary that you have to bring in their religious identity?
Okay, let's ask Manu Khajuria that. Why bring in the... Okay, now you've asked a reasonable question.
It's a law and order question.
It's a law and order question. Why are you dragging in religious identity, Manu Khajuria?
Well, Padmaja, to your first question, I think a very important point that needs to be highlighted is that by now, by this time, 100 Hindu properties have been damaged. From 4th to 7th September, there have been straight nights of terror for neighborhoods which had predominantly Hindu families living. And these are not very affluent neighborhoods. They are working class families, very law abiding. These families were terrorized, and the doors that were broken into, the cars that were damaged, were picked up on the basis of the Hindu markers, as in any door which had an Om written on it, any door which had written like Shubh Labh on it, or any car which had a Ganesh on it, which are very common things which Hindus do. These were the houses and these were the cars, and this is how they were selected. And the first incident, in fact, was when...
Sir, Madam, for your kind information...
Let me finish, Mr. Banerjee, I did not interrupt you.
May I just give one information, one bit of information?
Was that a Ganpati...
No, I'm not interrupting you, just one bit of information. Back in India, Shah Rukh Khan...
Just a second, sir, just a second. Mr. Banerjee, I will give you time. Since you asked a specific question of why religion is being brought in, now you are being given the reason. So listen to it and then respond. Go on.
One of the houses in the very, probably on the 4th or the 5th of September, the houses that was attacked, eggs were thrown. This was a house where the doors were open and a Ganpati Pujan was happening. This is around Ganesh Chaturthi, right? So throwing of eggs into a house which has Ganpati Pujan happening, people are sitting, people are walking in and out, is a very clear indication. And this in no terms, and we cannot whitewash this or reduce it, but the fact remains that this is an attack on peaceful Hindus by Islamist extremists. I am not saying Muslims, because we have liberal, moderate Muslims who are supporting these Hindus, who have been voicing it publicly. So not the moderate Muslim community, but these are Islamist
the UK police is a failure.
That is why you will...
No, hold on a second.
The UK police is a
hold
failure.
on a second. I mean, just when you've been robbed of your chance of labeling Manu Khajuria some kind of rabid anti-Muslim bigot, because she recognizes that these people do not represent all of Islam and they only represent a bunch of Islamist fundamentalists, you suddenly change the goalpost. You ask, sir, why is the religious identity being brought in? Now you are told that it is because these people were identified as Hindus,
so she should question the UK police.
Sir, my question to you, okay, let's not please start this tangential tutu meme, which basically is the is the ultimate aim of everyone who wants to derail a debate. I will steer it back. My question to you is, Manu Khajuria is telling you 100 households have been attacked because they were identified as Hindu households. How did this become about Hindutva extremism when Hindus were at the receiving end?
Fine, no, what? I'll tell you. That is what she is claiming, right? Will she make this very claim before the police? Will she go and tell that, boss, here are some Islamic terrorists, you are a failure, you cannot control the terrorists? Will she do that? No, she will not. Is there a FIR? Is she naming them, these Islamic terrorists that she is recognizing?
Okay, answer that. Answer that. Yes, go on. Answer. Yes.
First of all, let me just clarify that many amongst the Indian diaspora, including me, have written not only to the Leicester police, but even to Birmingham police today, where there have been called by Islamists to come and protest. Peaceful protest, so-called peaceful protest in front of a Durga Mandir. So we have written to not only the police, but to our councillors, to our MPs, and I am an Indian citizen living in UK. So I have also written to my High Commission, and High Commission has released a statement. So let us be very clear that this is about the security and protection of Hindus. And when we say that Islamist extremists are doing this and not a liberal, moderate Muslim community, we should take the example, or we should rather look into this, that Majid Freeman, who was peddling fake news about the Leicester events and whose statements have been refuted by the Leicester police, is now known to have been supporting terrorists belonging to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State. How many more examples do we need? There are other very well-known radical Islamists who have been anti-Semitic, not just anti-Hindu.
So therefore, what you are saying,
problem, Mr. Banerjee looks like he has a problem with Hindus. So we have other players in this Leicester event who have been openly anti-Semitic.
Don't give me these statements. I hear these every day from the RSS BJP people. You also are a part of that. You are also part of that Sangh Parivar, the head spreading team.
Okay, going by your logic, sir. Okay, now this is a pointless name calling, because I suspect you do not have answers.
Then he's calling me something else.
Yeah, to the central question. No, please.
Hates Hindus. Who is she? This is the same kind of certification that the BJP leaders give us every day.
Okay.
We hear this
silence, please, because this is not the kind of name calling tutu meme, which again will only go towards completely derailing the debate. Still sticking to the central question, and let me get in Gokul Chandran. You seem very horrified by the fact that Hindus, these militant Hindus, are now taking their hateful, bigoted right ideology to the UK. You've just heard an entire explanation of how it was Hindu establishments, Hindu houses, and I will play you now one video where one resident in Leicester has recorded people attacking his car. And that mob then subsequently comes and uproots a saffron flag from in front of his house. According to you, this is his fault that somebody is coming and attacking his car and attacking his house. How?
Yeah, good evening, Padmaja.
Good evening.
See, we have seen lot of videos, lot of narration what has happened in UK, but my only fear is that such Hindus who are creating trouble in various countries, are putting our nation reputation to shame.
How?
Because of such people, tomorrow, what will happen is the people from India.
What are you ashamed of? That they are standing up and saying, don't attack us?
No, Padmaja, you are seeing only the one side. Why don't you see the whole episode? What has happened? The Hindus.
What is the whole episode?
In UK.
Let's talk. How? What did they do?
Those rowdies. The Hindus are rowdies for chanting Jai Shri Ram and all those things.
So that's what they did. They chanted Jai Shri Ram.
Yeah, if they want to do all this nonsense.
So you're agonized that people got together after they were attacked and chanted Jai Shri Ram.
Padmaja, let me complete. Why they want to put the risk of our normal Hindus?
Normal Hindus?
Put our lives into risk. Normal Hindus who are living in UK and other European countries.
I suspect normal Hindus also say Jai Shri Ram.
No. Normal Hindus don't shout Jai Shri Ram in the streets and call for violence. Normal Hindus never do that.
So you are saying that the attack on people's houses, their livelihoods and their temples do not horrify you. What horrifies you is that they got together afterwards, marched in solidarity and said Jai Shri Ram, thereby bringing great infamy to you and your country. Gokul Chandran.
Gravity of the situation. Tomorrow, when you are applying for a UK visa,
what
seeing that you are a Hindu, the UK government will deny you a visa because already the name of the Hindus has been tarnished by this Hindutva gang.
All right. So essentially, the words of wisdom here are that if you are attacked, just sit tight because God forbid tomorrow those coming behind you might be denied a visa. Go on, Dishita Kumar.
So basically, what you're saying is, firstly, we're going to beat you up in your own home, knock down your doors, but you're not even allowed to cry and ask for help. And if we do that and go out in support of our Hindu families and say Jai Shri Ram to give strength, then we are called Hindutva. And firstly, sir, do you even know what Hindutva is? Do you know what Hindutva is?
The Gujaratis who are living in UK, seeing the Gujarat election in place,
if you are using the word Hindutva, do you even know what that means?
Shame on RSS for doing such things in...
Okay, first of all, you have with you on your panel two people who are living in the UK, are practicing Hindus, I dare say rather proud, not Gujaratis, law-abiding, peace-loving citizens, but who equally believe, Gokul Chandran, that if they are going to be attacked, they are going to speak up, visa or no visa. Let Dishita finish what she is saying, then you can respond. Yes, Dishita.
Let them come back to India.
Why should they come back to India? Why can't they practice their religion peacefully where they are living? What rot is this? That if you get out and you're practicing your religion peacefully, you will be attacked. Otherwise, come back to India. Why? Why should they live in UK and practice their religion?
The Hindus who are stuck, the rowdy elements from India calling Jai Shri Ram, calling for Hindu Rashtra.
Okay, hold on a second. I don't know what your idea of Hindu Rashtra is. Just a second. Please let Dishita respond. Then I want you to actually listen to something. Since you're so angry, outraged and upset, let Dishita respond to you. Are you a Hindutva extremist shouting Jai Shri Ram, Dishita?
I will happily say Jai Shri Ram, and I don't understand. I live in a country where there's freedom of speech. If I say that this slogan has been chanted for 10,000 years, how is it suddenly something that you guys are being instigated by? It's ridiculous.
Okay, let me now actually play out for you, because this whole thing about there were these bunch of rowdies. After going through a fair number of videos, I can't claim to have seen all of them, but I did go out looking for videos to show how this was an equal opportunity crime. Let's play out for you what we saw in terms of what is being seen as provocation, this video where there was a community march of people saying Jai Shri Ram. And let's then decide whether they all should be denied a visa next time. Listen to this.
Do this.
Is it?
Yeah, you know, hear what they're saying.
Yeah.
You know how we say Allahu, where basically they've got their own chant. What, and they're allowed to do this?
So you saw this one video. Now I want you to listen to a man who actually got people together from outside of Leicester And here he is talking about Hindus. Let's see if you find this outrageous or what you think is Hindutva extremism. Let's listen to this man called Muhammad Hijab. Listen to him.
All due respect, actually no due respect, yeah? If they believe in reincarnation, what a humiliation and pathetic thing for them to be reincarnated into some pathetic, weak, cowardly people like that. I'd rather be an animal. I'd rather be reincarnated as a grasshopper, bro. That's the truth. So how comes now in Leicester, the Hindutva are coming out, yeah? And you're trying to act like gangsters? You're trying to act like gangsters. Come on, man. You're not about that life. Don't ever. I'm saying this directly to all the so-called Hindutva wannabe gangsters. Don't ever come out like that again. Do you understand? No chance. Are they going to come out like that again? Never. Are they going to come out like that again? Never. Because if they do come out, are we going to be here? Yes or no? Yes.
Who's an extremist now, Gokul Chandran?
Yeah,
the man is literally saying these people they believe in reincarnation, they are reincarnated as a bunch of pathetic people. I'd rather be an animal. And you're not even supposed to react to that because you become an extremist.
Padmaja, they are not Indians. I can talk only about Indians and my Indians who are putting India into shame. I can talk only about them.
So you're telling your fellow Indians, somebody comes to your door, attacks you, calls you names, calls you pathetic, mocks your religion, attacks your places of worship, you should just shut up and sit tight. Why?
Did you read
because they'll put you to shame. You are ashamed of what? For people standing up for themselves.
No, see, why they are covering the face? If they are so much clean and they are angels, why they have to mask up their face, put hoods on their head and do all these things? Why don't they have the guts to show their face? Because they are doing something wrong. They are instigating and doing wrong things.
Okay, let Manu Khajuria respond to that. Okay, actually let Vaseek respond to that. Who are the extremists in your opinion when you've seen all the reactions so far, Vaseek?
Sorry, could you just repeat that again, please?
You've heard both the reactions. There's a group of people who are going out. They're saying Jai Shri Ram. There's another bunch who's basically saying, we'll be here to meet the Hindutva gangs. They are a bunch of pathetic people talking about reincarnation. Who's the most shameful behavior?
So the first thing I think we need to just point out is saying Jai Shri Ram, there's nothing wrong with that. It's a religious slogan. And in fact, as one of your other commentators said, in Britain we have freedom of speech and we have freedom of religion. And that's one of the things that we actually enjoy very well here. When you have individuals who are obviously targeting anyone because of their religion, and in this case it appears that it seems to be directed directly at Hindus, then we can quite clearly see that this is then anti-Hindu rhetoric and bigotry that then could manifest itself into religious violence. We need to be also clear about something, and I think that one of these things is missing from the analysis, is that Islamist extremism has been an issue that has gripped not only Britain but the world for the last 2 decades, particularly Salafi jihadism. But we don't see the same in terms of so-called Hindutva extremists. So when we think about even Britain itself in terms of who they prescribe as terrorist group, so far in terms of India alone, when we're talking about importing extremist threat, we're talking here about Jaish-e Mohammed, Indian Mujahideen and Harakat Mujahideen. We don't have any Indian equivalent or Hindu equivalent of a terrorist group being prescribed here. So again, when we're thinking about the threat that's being posed, Islamists are posing a direct threat to Hindus, and I think this is quite worrying.
This is very worrying actually for Tausif Ahmed, because the whole premise of his argument is that there is rampant, free-ranging Hindutva extremism, and for you to say there is nothing comparable to the actual Islamic extremism that Britain is facing must be heartbreaking. Tausif Ahmed, how is this about Hindutva extremism?
You see, there is a pattern with the mobs inciting violence and rioting in India and the mobs doing violence in Leicester. You see all the statements that have come from the Leicester mayor or the East Leicester MP highlights 2 points. One, the use of misinformation and social media in inciting the violence, and 2, the role of Indian media in activating all these sleeper cell of Sangh Parivar terrorists in UK, which has led to this violence. You see,
I'm sorry, whose analysis
chant,
is this?
The slogan,
this Indian media activating sleeper cells. I suspect this might be a Tosif analysis.
Now have patience, have patience.
Which you have conveniently attributed to some member of parliament and also the police chief.
Please be a...
And the military intelligence. Who exactly has
like
spoken of this
good girl.
sleeper cell?
Please behave like a good girl, like you used to be maybe in school.
I do not appreciate. Okay. First of all, Tosif Ahmed,
I am talking about.
Thank you for joining us. I do not need you and your very patronizing tone on my show. I am not a good girl, sir.
You are a paid,
I am extremely unforgiving to people who are patronizing on my show. Thank you very much. Thank you for joining me. I'll give the final word to Manu Khajuria, who I suspect is also a very thoughtful lady as opposed to a good girl. Manu Khajuria, I will quote to you from something that has been written vis-a-vis this entire violent episode in the New Independent. It says the first incidents happened on 28th August after a cricket match between India and Pakistan. Groups of young Indian fans started roaming Leicester streets chanting Pakistan Murdabad and assaulted at least one bystander. Then Hindus from Leicester shared videos of a gang of presumably Muslim men attacking property. That's when things started getting out of control. The report suggests that it was an unprovoked attack on Muslims by over-enthusiastic Hindu groups after an India-Pakistan match that was at the bottom of it.
I'll quickly, because when we were talking about that protest march, the videos which we saw, I wanted to point out the timeline, and you're giving me an opportunity to do that. On 28th August, definitely there was an altercation between fans who were supporting India and Pakistan, and it took a turn for the worse only when an Indian flag was pulled and this particular Pakistani fan or the Pakistan team's fan tried to desecrate the flag. This was the first event, but then from 4th to 7th September, there were like 3 to 4 nights of terror in these neighborhoods where primarily Hindu families live. And when an appeal was made from these different, multi-faith leaders, the Muslim leaders and the Hindu leaders, the Hindus sat back and waited, whereas these neighborhoods were continued, to be terrorized. That's when, and in according to the British laws, you have the right to self-organize and take out a protest march in case you're feeling threatened or you do not feel safe. So though the Hindu community groups and Hindu leaders are working closely with the British authorities and the British police, they did fail to protect the Hindu families. As I clearly told you that at least 100 Hindu properties have been damaged, and these were identified and marked because of the Hindu symbols they bore in some form or the other. This is what happened. And again, everybody from the Indian diaspora and the British Hindu diaspora is saying this is the act of Islamist extremists who have been who have been anti-Semitic, who have, known to be grooming British girls, who have done things like this in the past, and growing radicalization. And as Wasiq pointed out, Islamic radicalism in Britain is a problem. This is exactly what the Hindu groups are trying to say. And with Navratri coming, Leicester, let me point out, is where after India the biggest Diwali celebration takes place. Not now, for many years now. And also Navratri is coming. And East Leicester, where all this is happening, is actually Claudia Webb's. She is this is her constituency, who has very openly anti-Hindu and anti-India stance. So she has failed to represent and protect her own constituents.
I'm going to leave it at that. The thing is, there is a recognition increasingly within Britain among security analysts that there is a real and present problem. This could have been a law and order problem. This could be a larger malaise. There are outsiders, other groups who came in, got involved, vitiated the atmosphere. But to completely ignore all of that, even ignore the law and order issue and suddenly try and paint it as a Hindutva extremism problem, you have to be really, really desperate to try and put a Saffron spin on this episode to imagine that. Thanks very much, all gentlemen, Manu Khajuria and Dishita Kumar, for joining me. I hope things calm down, better sense prevails, and everyone responsible is behind bars. After remaining shut for over 3 decades due to a fatwa by terror group, cinema halls returned to Kashmir. Once a hub of entertainment, film and music, Kashmir was pushed into the dark ages at the peak of terrorism. Of the dozen-odd cinema halls that function in Srinagar alone, all were shut down in one go when terror groups declared them anti-Islam. The final nail in the coffin was when there were grenade attacks on theatres. Today that dark history was reversed. Over the weekend, the Lieutenant Governor of J&K, Manoj Sinha, inaugurated cinema halls in Shopian and Pulwama, and now it was the turn of Srinagar. Let's listen in first to what the LG said.
Prioritizing cinema halls over democracy and statehood is not acceptable. This goes against the democratic ethos. हमें बसंती की तरह बंदूक की नोच पे नाचना मंजूर नहीं है. When we get statehood, when we get elections, then only we'll dance. This is not the dance of democracy. This is death of democracy. And I condemn this reopening of cinema halls. I want to condemn that the oldest cinema hall owner in Jammu and Kashmir, the Ghori family which run the Palladium Cinema Hall, they are not being given their right to reconstruct the cinema.
बेरोजगार आज पूछना चाह रहे हैं कि हमारी बेरोजगारी का क्या एक मल्टीप्लेक्स या 2-3 मल्टीप्लेक्स खोलने से हमारी बेरोजगारी खत्म हो जाएगी? और किसी पर्सनल बंदे ने, प्राइवेट बंदे ने एक मल्टीप्लेक्स खोला, उसकी आप इतनी बड़ी तरफदारी कर रहे हैं, उसका धंधा तो हो जाएगा. पूरे सिनेमा हॉल बंद पड़े हैं क्योंकि हम नेटफ्लिक्स देखते हैं, हम अमेज़न देखते हैं, हम प्राइम वीडियो देखते हैं. कौन सिनेमाघर में जाके देखता है? कौन सी दुनिया में रह रहे हैं आप लोग?
ये अमन नहीं है. जब आज तो हालात 90 से भी बदतर है यहाँ पर, हर तरह से सोशली, इकोनॉमिकली. जब ये ड्रग्स की तरफ जाएगा, सिनेमा हॉलों की तरफ जाएगा, बाकी जो बिदात है उनकी तरफ जाएंगे तो हमारे ये क्या कर सकते हैं आगे में? इनको अर्ली डेथ भी हो जाती है. आपको पता है, अर्ली डेथ भी हो जाएगी. इनका दिमाग काम नहीं करता है. फिर जो इनका पढ़ाई का पीरियड है वो ज़ाया हो जाता है इनका.
You're watching the News Hour at 10, debate number 2 on Times Now, Super Prime Time.
Okay, joining us now is Nirmal Singh, former Deputy Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, Vijay Dhar, owner at Inox Multiplex in Srinagar, Adil Nazir Khan, political analyst, and Waqar H. Bhatti. I want to start with you, Mr. Dhar. Why was it important for you to try and get cinema back into Kashmir?
You know, we've been running cinemas here, particularly one of the best cinemas was Broadway Cinema, which we ran earlier, and that had to be shut in 1990. We tried again, open it in 93, it didn't work, and cinema has been in my blood to start and restart. So we're again trying to do that, what we did earlier. There's nothing new that we're doing.
Are you confident that it'll be safe? Because the history of cinemas, it's seen grenade attacks. You had the Kashmir Tigers gave fatwa, called it un-Islamic. Does it scare you?
Ma'am, when you do a business, sometimes you think from the head, and then you think of these things, and you think of profit and loss. When you do something from the heart, then you don't think of these things. Then you think of the state and you think in the national interest. So it doesn't really bother me today as to what may or may not happen tomorrow.
Why do you say you're thinking of this cinema from the heart? What's the connection of the heart with this theatre reopening?
Because I told you earlier that we used to run the cinemas here. We ran one of the best cinemas called Broadway in good old times. We tried to revive it. It didn't work. We'll try and revive it again. We want to bring back the same magic that Broadway created at one time. We want the same social gathering. We want the same youngsters and elders to enjoy a cinema which they would enjoy in Jammu or Delhi.
Absolutely. And why shouldn't they? Nirmal Singh ji, एक cosmetic change है, उसको आप इतना बड़ा कर रहे हैं, as if कोई बहुत history हो रहा है. What's the big deal? The Congress is asking.
Actually, after 30 years, Kashmir is seeing a new phase, because everybody know that it was in 1990s that all the cinema halls, they were shut down in Kashmir, and some of the people who were owning this, they left. They were forced to leave Kashmir, and the government of the time was not able to, you can say, deal with that due to the, you can say, atmosphere at that time. But after 30 years, the new phase has started, and multiplex has been started by the present government. It's a very welcome step, and the people of Jammu and Kashmir, especially the Kashmiris, they were looking for that, because Kashmir, if it's normal, then all normal activities have to be allowed there. If there are activities they go on there, only then it gives the message that yes, Kashmir is normal. And that as of now the Kashmir is normal, because the terrorist activities have come down very rapidly. Terrorists, they are on the run. You have seen that the tourist season was very good this time. All the hotels, they were booked. The Kashmiris, they were earning their livelihood after so many years. Then there's development activities they are going on. So you have seen that during this 15th August, the Independence Day, Kashmiris, they came out in large number. They unfurled this tricolor. There were some people, the Chief Minister, they used to say that if you abrogate Article 370, nobody shall be here to even, I can say, carry Tiranga. And we have seen that meters tens of meters of Tiranga have been taken by the Kashmiris on their heads.
If people in the rest of the country can go out, enjoy cinema, enjoy theatre, enjoy art, Adil Nazir Khan, why shouldn't they do it in Pulwama? Why shouldn't they do it in Srinagar?
Because we are the only Muslim majority territory in India, and it should not be allowed there, because it directly goes to our religion. It directly shows how this government is trying to interfere in our religion. Kashmir needs hospitals, it needs roads, it needs schools. It doesn't need these kind of shit, this cinema and all that. What these people are trying to say, that by opening a cinema and by inaugurating this complex in Shupian, Pulwama and Srinagar, does this mean normalcy? If there is a normalcy, why there is target killing?
Just hold on a second. What is your problem? Your problem is that it goes against your culture? Or is it that budget is being taken away from your roads, your hospitals and schools?
It's about religion. It's about religion. It's not, it is strictly, Padmaja, it is
are you saying Amir Khan is not a Muslim? Because the first film to be screened today in Srinagar was Lal Singh Chadda. Are you saying he's anti-religion?
Leave it, whatever.
No, why leave it?
I won't comment on that, but this thing is clear. But
since you are an authority on all of Islam and all of Islamic practices and all of culture, let's hear it. Either Shah Rukh Khan, Amir Khan, Salman Khan, I'm sure I'm missing many, Saif Ali Khan,
the only ideology, Padmaji,
they're all not Muslims, right? Because Islam doesn't allow you to participate in cinema. Saira Banu, Wahida Rahman, Meena Kumari, Dilip Kumar,
nothing to do with them.
They're all bad Muslims.
I have nothing to do with them.
ISIS is not in.
I have no business with them.
There is a democracy.
I'm talking about Kashmir. That's the only Muslim majority territory in India. You are trying.
And they say that because in Kashmir, Muslims are in majority. So
stop this nonsense. What you are
normal activity here. This is nonsense.
You are misinforming the country.
So ye
bataiye, of the development.
By the way, I don't know if you heard Mr. Vijay Dhar, but his family has been running cinemas in Kashmir since forever. In 1932 is when the first theatre was built at Lal Chowk. Did Muslims not exist in Srinagar at that time? The Palladium cinema ran for the longest time. So या तो उस वक्त the Muslims in Kashmir were not practicing Islam.
These people, they are still living in medieval times. This is very unfortunate. You are
just
these people
open over Jama Masjid.
Medieval times.
Free your ulama kiram. They free your Maulanas. You are booking them under PSA and EAP. You are.
You know, it's depressing enough. It's depressing enough when you see people from medieval times make arguments like this. But Adil Nazir Khan, you've studied in Delhi, you've lived in Delhi. You go back to Kashmir, you make some arguments. It's doubly depressing. But Vakaraj Bhatti, that's the question I want to ask you. For the last 50 years, cinemas were running. You've not watched any movie. You'd be very happy to know that Kashmir is one of the places जहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा pirated movies देखी जाती हैं. पाकिस्तान से pirate होके आती है, कश्मीर में देखी जाती हैं. पूरे भारत में सबसे ज्यादा पायरेसी देखी जाती है कश्मीर में। कौन देख रहा है?
Sorry for
कौन देख रहा है ये फिल्में? मिस्टर धार wants to come in. Mr. Vijay Dhar.
Kashmir set up the first. Kashmir set up the first cinema in the country in 1932, which was known as Kashmir Talkies, then made as Palladium Talkies. Bombay Talkies came in 1934. So I don't see any argument that is being given against or for it. The basic fact is that Kashmiris loved cinema. Bollywood and Kashmir has always had a very good connection. Always. The Bollywood stars like Dilip Kumar Saab used to love Kashmir. Shami Kapoor has shot most of his films here. Amitabh Bachchan has shot most of his films here. When you go to Pahalgam, there is a Betab Valley. After all, it's named after the film Betab, which Dharmendra shot here. So I don't understand what argument we are doing at this time. For what?
Bakarej
If it is anti-religion, films are shown in Pakistan.
From 1932.
Saudi Arabia.
Films are shown in Pakistan. Films are very popular in Pakistan, but somehow you interpret religion more than Pakistan also. Bakarej Bhatti.
जी, पहली बात तो मैं आपको क्लियर कर देता हूँ, कश्मीर आज के टाइम जिस हालात में है, खासकर 370 जब 2019 को खत्म किया गया, उसके बाद जितने भी प्रोपेगेंडा और जितने भी एक्सपेरिमेंट आप कश्मीर में कर रहे हैं, वो सिर्फ इस्लाम को खत्म करने की एक बहुत बड़ी साजिश कर रहे हैं। चाहे वहाँ वाइन शॉप खोलना हो, ड्रग्स तेजी के साथ 4 बच्चों को नशे में लाना हो, फिर आप बच्चे को थिएटर्स में एजुकेशन आप दे नहीं रहे हो, लेकिन आप बच्चे को कह रहे हो कि बच्चे जाके फिल्में देख, वाइन शॉप।
पिक्चर देखने से इस्लाम खत्म हो जाएगा आपके हिसाब से?
जी,
पिक्चर देखेंगे थिएटर में तो इस्लाम खत्म हो जाएगा?
नहीं, इस्लाम खत्म ऐसे नहीं होता, लेकिन बिल्कुल ऐसी कोई भी चीज हम एक्सेप्ट कश्मीर में नहीं करेंगे जो गैर इस्लामी है, क्योंकि ये गैर इस्लामी
पाकिस्तान में तो पिक्चर देखते हैं, वहाँ इस्लाम खत्म हो गया क्या?
को बंद करके ऐसे फैसले कर रहे हैं, हम इनको चीजों को एक्सेप्ट नहीं करते हैं।
डॉक्टर निर्मल सिंह,
they are speaking nonsense. This is India. They are speaking nonsense. This is India. This is a secular state.
मिस्टर निर्मल सिंह, और मैं हजरात को जेलों में डालने के बाद आप कहते हैं हमने कश्मीर में बहुत कुछ कर दिया है। क्या कर दिया आपने कश्मीर में?
Actually, there is a very simple solution to all of this. Adil Nazir Khan and Bakarej Bhatti, instead of getting so exercised about theatres opening in Kashmir, आप एक काम कीजिए ना, जो लोग देखना चाहते हैं उनको देखने दीजिए, आप लाइट ऑफ करके सो जाइए। आपको कौन कह रहा है अपना इस्लाम खतरे में डालने के लिए जबरदस्ती? पिक्चर मत देखिए, आप घर पे ही रहिएगा। Anyhow, special thanks to you, Mr. Vijay Dhar, for speaking to us. Let's hope more love, light, entertainment is spread in Jammu and Kashmir and beyond. Thanks very much, Dr. Nirmal Singh, and both other gentlemen also for joining me. Thanks for watching.
The News Hour at 10 will be right back after the break. You're watching the News Hour at 10.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the Council of Mayors of BJP in Gujarat's Gandhinagar via video conferencing. He stressed on following construction rules to avoid building collapses and fires. Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal, who is on a one-day visit to Gujarat, was greeted with Modi chants outside Vadodara Airport. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said digitized financial services in India have generated global interest, added that unbanked Indian citizens can also access formal financial channels now. Defense Minister Rajnath Singh held bilateral talks with Egyptian Defense Minister General Mohammed Zaki in Cairo. During the meet, Rajnath Singh was accorded a ceremonial guard of honor. UP government has suspended Saharanpur sports officer after Union Minister Anurag Thakur directed that strict action to be taken against officers accused of putting food meant for players in a sports camp on toilet surfaces.
The News Hour at 10. We'll be right back after the break. You're watching The News Hour at 10.
Stage set for a contest for Congress President post as nomination filing for Congress begins in 3 days. Tharoor Gehlot in the fray. Rajasthan CM Ashok Gehlot to meet Congress President Sonia Gandhi at 11:30 am tomorrow. The meeting comes as Congress prepares to conduct presidential polls next month. Times Now has accessed the charge sheet filed against Partha Chatterjee in the SST scam. The document highlights that the former TMC minister selected ineligible candidates for postings. PFI Palakkad District Secretary Siddiqui was arrested by the Palakkad Town Police in connection with the murder of RSS leader and Shararik Shikshak Pramukh Srinivasan on April 14th. Tamil Nadu BJP functionary CTR Nirmal Kumar has filed a complaint against DMK's A. Raja for unethical act of hate speech against Hindus.
The most pressing issue, the most informed minds, free and fair exchange. Converse India with Rahul Shivshankar.